Opening day. It's many things to many people. Across America, it's a sign of spring and the kickoff of our national pastime. In Cleveland, it's a day to dream of those great teams of the 1990s and more recently 2007, when the Tribe was the toast of the American League Central. And today at Progressive Field, it's a day to remember as the Indians honor the late, great Bob Feller, who passed away this winter at the age of 92. Opening day, a day to reflect and a day to dream, as the Tribe tries to capture its first World Series since 1948. And it starts next on Channel 3. "24 hours ago, it looked more like a snow bowl here at Progressive Field than a ballpark, but I have no doubt in my mind that Rapid Robert, Bob Feller, put in a special word with the weather gods above, and we've got blue skies, sunshine overhead as the Indians open the 2011 campaign today here against the Chicago White Sox. Hi again, everyone. I'm Matt Underwood with my partner, Rick Manning, all ready to bring you another season of Indians baseball here on Sports Time Ohio. I don't know about you, pal. There's so much excitement coming to the ballpark today, but there's also a little bit of emptiness because our pal, Robert Feller, will not be here in the press box. He won't be coming in the booth to chat with us during the game, and so there's a little bit of somber note, too.
Well, without a doubt. Since 1936, when he first signed with the Cleveland Indians, he won't be a part of it. Seems like opening day, who always used to throw out the first pitch. This guy may be gone, but he will not be forgotten, as they will have a patch, they will wear a number, and Bob will be with him, I'm sure, every step of the way, and he certainly will be missed.
No question about that. Now, the ball game here today, the Indians and the Chicago White Sox, familiar foes. They've met 5 out of the last 6 years in the season opener, and that continues here today. The Indians have some new faces in the lineup for their rivals from Chicago, and most notably, you've got the veteran Orlando Cabrera and Jack Hanahan at the hot corner.
Well, they went out and signed Cabrera right before spring training started, and he's going to stabilize the infield. He's a veteran that's been around, and I think it's a very good thing. Hanahan also came in, made this ball club, and that's where they were weak last year, is infield defense. These two guys should certainly help that out this year.
As I said, the Indians have seen a lot of the White Sox on opening day, and it seems like every year the Tribe opens against Mark Burley. In fact, last year he made the play of the year on opening day against the Tribe in Chicago.
He certainly did. He's going to be matched up against Fausto Carmona, though, and Carmona in his opening day start last year, he's going to come back and pitch against the White Sox, who he has had a lot of success against. In his last 7 starts against him since 07, he's 5-0, matched up against Mark Burley, who has his most losses against the Cleveland Indians than anybody else, but 2-1 last year. Carmona 3-0 against the White Sox. It should be a very good matchup today.
Everyone talks about the importance to getting off to a good start. Well, here's hoping that Bob Feller, here's the patch the Indians will be wearing on their sleeve today. Here's hoping that Bob can give him a little extra push here today, and the Tribe gets off to a win to open the 2011 campaign. We're back with all the play-by-play action coming up next. It's a sold-out house here at Progressive Field. And a beautiful day overhead with lots of sunshine, blue skies. Temperature will be 43 degrees at game time. Just a slight wind chill, dropping it down to 39. But all things considered, it's just about what you expect on opening day in Cleveland.
If you see the sunshine here, it's fine. It's opening day. You don't expect it to be warm or hot like it was in Arizona. You know, it left the house this morning. It looked like it was snowing a little bit. So I'll tell you what, you certainly take today's sunshine. Blue skies, looks beautiful.
And a sold-out house here in attendance. For those of you who could not get down to the ballpark, we certainly welcome you into our coverage here today and enjoy the ball game as the Indians take the field for the first time here in 2011 behind Fausto Carmona. And the right-hander making the opening day start here for the Tribe against Ozzie Guillen and the Chicago White Sox. Let's take a look at Ozzie Guillen's starting nine for Chicago. They finished 88 and 74 a year ago. Juan Pierre stole 68 bases last season. He'll be leading it off. Then it's Gordon Beckham, followed by Adam Dunn. Big free agent acquisition in the offseason. Paul Konerko back with the Sox will hit cleanup. Alex Rios batting fifth. Carlos Quinton is in right field hitting sixth. And the bottom third is A.J. Pierzynski, Alexei Ramirez, and Brent Morel.
Making his very first career opening day start, Fausto Carmona up against the Chicago White Sox. Carmona last year 13 and 14 in his 33 starts, a 3.77 ERA. Pitched very well in the month of September. Coming back, has had a lot of success against the White Sox. 2-0 last year, 7-3 in his career. And Fausto, for some strange reason, they've been predominantly a right-handed hitting lineup, has had their number and a good ground ball pitcher. So we'll see if Fausto can get us started off on the right foot. Let's take a look at the Home Depot Indians defense today. It'll be Kearns in left, Brantley in center, Chu is in right, Hanahan at third, as Drupal Cabrera at short, Orlando Cabrera at second, Laporte is at first with Santana behind the plate. More savings, more doing. That's the power of Home Depot.
The umpires for our season opener today, Mike Winters calling the balls and strikes. Mike Everett is at first, Mark Wegner at second, Chris Guccione is down at third. And so after a long, hard winter here in northeastern Ohio, and after a long spring in the Arizona desert, we are ready to open the 2011 season, and Fausto Carmona's first pitch is a called strike. There's what Pierre did a year ago, slashing it foul out of play down the third base side. If you can keep him off first base, that certainly is a huge step in the right direction when you're facing Chicago, because when he gets on, he's going to run, period.
Yeah, well, he makes it that much better for the middle part of that lineup, the guys that drive in the runs. And he can steal bases for his age. Had a very good year last year stealing bases. But the key I like about Carmona is throwing strikes. When that man throws strikes, he's going to be successful when he pitches ahead in the count. He had a good spring in 7 starts. He was 5-2.
Little tapper foul right at home plate. Defensively, Austin Kearns really shortened up and left and cheating over near the line, trying to take away that opposite field slap hit that Pierre has made famous over the years.
And for where he is located, Matt, I'm not surprised that Brantley's not over in left center even a little further, to be honest with you. He's pretty much just playing him like a right-handed pull hitter. Look at that.
And he socks it toward the left center field gap for a base hit. 0-2 pitch, but Pierre fights it off, and he's aboard to start the game for Chicago.
I was going to say Pierre is one of those hitters that, he's a very good bad ball hitter. When he gets behind in the count, he will expand that strike zone. He will chase pitches out. This one elevated a little bit. Maybe too good for Fausto after having him down 0-2, but Pierre will get a lot of hits from hitting the ball out of the strike zone.
Now Gordon Beckham, right-handed hitter. And takes a pitch up and in for ball one. Other than Pierre, Adam Dunn and A.J. Pierzynski are the only left-handed bats in the lineup for Chicago. So 6 of the 9 hit from the right side, which should help Carmona or at least tilt the odds a little bit in his favor.
Well, Fausto led the league in ground ball double plays last year with 30. So he's always that one pitch away from getting that ground ball double play.
Beckham overpowered by that Carmona fastball.
And I think that's why Fausto's had a lot of success against the White Sox since '07, because predominantly they are a right-handed hitting ball club. They added the big free agent Adam Dunn this year, who's going to be the DH primarily, and then give Konerko a breather at first base occasionally.
White Sox expecting big things from Beckham as Pierre draws a throw. Last year he hit just .252.
But you remember, he got off to that slow start. It was a brilliant young rookie, and then really came out of the gates and struggled, but picked it up in the second half.
Yeah, he hit .310 after June 23rd last year.
And that's what they're looking for this guy.
Swung on and missed. And the count of ball and 2 strikes.
You know, you'll see the good movement on this pitch, that sinker. And you can see why right-handers swing over the top of that sinker. When it is down in the strike zone, it's almost impossible to hit that ball in the air because it's moving down and in on you. To get it up in the air is awfully difficult.
A little bit outside and low. 2-2 the count. Beckham 1 for 6 in his career against Carmona with the strikeout.
And to this point, Pierre just sort of sitting over there at first base. Hasn't really tried to do anything. Carmona, a guy I thought you would be able to run on.
Beckham fouled that off his foot, and it caromed back to the mound. First of many foul balls that will hit a foot of a White Sox hitter here today. That's par for the course when you face Fausto. And on a chilly day, if you're a hitter, you want to try and avoid doing that as much as possible.
Oh, boy.
10 pitches so far for Fausto. 8 have been strikes. And the 2-2. Fouled back out of play. Tim Belcher told me in spring training the one thing that he admires about Fausto Carmona, he is never afraid of work. He's come to him and time again said, more work, Belcher, more work.
Well, Fausto is what you call a horse.
Yeah.
I mean, when you get out there, he's going to go out there and he works hard. He can bounce back from adversity. We've seen that happen twice in his career.
Ripped to third, fair ball down the left field line. Austin Kearns will give chase, but look out, Pierre. Rounding second into third. He's going to get the stop sign there. Kearns played the carom nicely in the corner, but the White Sox threatening right out of the gate here. Runners at second and third with nobody out, and now the heart of the order duo.
And you know the funny thing, he's been ahead of both hitters. Both hitters getting hits with 2 strikes. Pierre, an 0-2 pitch, and Beckham fouled a couple of pitches off. They fouled off 5 pitches already, but he gets this sinker that's elevated a little bit more, and it allows Beckham to get the ball, at least keep it in fair territory. On that ricochet, the White Sox off to a good start. First 2 hitter with base hits, second and third, and nobody out.
And that brings up Adam Dunn, the free agent slugger added in the offseason. Indians shift defensively, and a first pitch strike. They've got 3 on the right side, leaving Hanahan, the third baseman, all by himself on the left side. Adam Dunn hit 38 home runs last year and drove in 103.
Well, getting his first taste of American League action in his career.
A little bit low.
You remember when he was going through the free agent process, they were talking about him wanting to stay in the National League because he wanted to play a position. Didn't know if he was ready to DH. But it came down to where he was just concerned about, hey, I want a chance to win. So he had no problem signing with the White Sox.
Carmona sets the 1-1. And it's down and in. 2 balls and a strike. There are many who have speculated that playing in half of his games at U.S. Cellular Field in Chicago, Dunn could challenge 50 homers this year.
Well, he can hit him out of anywhere. He could hit him out of the Grand Canyon.
3 balls and a strike. First base is open. Paul Konerko waits on deck.
Well, and when you got a guy hitting behind you that was their heart and soul of the ball club, they must have called that high. That's a good pitch. Santana brought that down a little bit, but still, that's a big man in that batter's box.
And now the 3-1 is fouled out of play, full count.
You know, last year they had Alex Rios hitting third in front of Konerko, and with the big guy, they may flip-flop right-hander, left-hander, where Konerko could hit third, Dunn could hit fourth. But Ozzy's starting him out hitting third, and he should get some pretty good pitches to hit with Konerko behind him.
Dunn, who wasn't real crazy about the idea of being a DH, trying to adjust to his new role, he strikes out. One down here in the first.
Well, that's an emergency hack right there. He was fooled by that pitch, and Carmona gets the strikeout.
A big K for Carmona.
Look at this, ball's by him. I don't know what he was looking for, but he just tried to get a piece of it to stay alive, and he just threw that ball. It was a perfect pitch on the outside edge with the emergency swing.
All right, Paul Konerko. The last time we saw Konerko, we didn't know that we would see him again in a Chicago White Sox uniform. He was headed to free agency. There was a lot of uncertainty in Chicago because, if you recall, they gave him a lot of curtain calls.
Right.
He was stepping out, tipping his cap. I don't think he knew for certain
that's
if he'd
where
be back.
We ended the season. And remember, he, in uniform with his wife and kid, went to first base. We're taking pictures over there.
Yeah.
And it almost looked like he wasn't coming back. But they certainly did. They anteed up, and Jerry Reinsdorf paid the big dollars to get Konerko back. They signed for Dunn. They also signed A.J. Przinsky. So they went out and spent some money, and they didn't stop there.
Well, Kenny Williams apparently in the offseason went to owner Jerry Reinsdorf with two plans. One, we take these young guys we have and we build around them. The other plan is we go for broke, we re-sign Konerko, we go out into free agency, and Jerry Reinsdorf said, okay, I like that plan better.
And that's what they do. They have the fifth highest payroll in all of baseball right now, about $135 million. And when you look at the Central, there's three teams. Not only are the White Sox, but the Tigers and also Minnesota over the $100 million mark.
Ooh, close pitch. Carmona does not get the call. And so now he's 21 pitches into this first inning with only one out.
You can't make a mistake over the plate. If you miss, you go inside. That was inside.
Yep.
That ball's running in. That's okay. At least you're making that hitter conscious that you're not afraid to come inside early in that count.
White Sox at second and third with one away, and the 2-1 pitch. Spoiled back by Konerko. And the count evens at 2-2.
You know, whatever they say, I'm sure Carmona says, I'm not going to be nervous. The adrenaline's flowing on opening day. His first major league start, he knows he wants to get off to a great start. You know, and right now when you start the game with the first two hitters reaching second and third and you're facing the middle part of that lineup, he's got to bear down.
Key moment in the game early here, the 2-2. Oh, man. Full count.
Well, let's see. I guarantee you they're not going to give you the high strike if that's where this one was. We'll see again. Well, you see, Santana's bringing it down, but that ball is not that high. Had one there to Dunn as well. So you're not going to get the high strike zone today.
So the payoff pitch coming to Paul Konerko. And a bloop shot will drop into right field. That'll score Pierre. Beckham in the third will hold there. And so Konerko, thanks to the reprieve by home plate umpire Mike Winters, delivers with the first run of the game, and Chicago jumps out to the 1-0 lead.
Well, and Konerko did a nice job there. That was a good pitch by Carmona. He didn't try and do too much. Look at that slider down and away. That's a guy that drives in runs right there. He takes what you give him. Full count. Great job of hitting. It'll give the White Sox a lead. Beckham goes to third, so it's first and third now, but the White Sox take a 1-0 lead, driven in by Konerko.
And now Alex Rios. With those hands very low. We noticed that adjustment he made a year ago as the pitch is inside for ball one.
Well, you wouldn't think. It looks awfully tough to hit where his hands are
sure
from,
does.
but I'll tell you what, he gets him into the hitting area by the time the pitch gets there. He's got to get him up and get him going, and he can get on top of a high fastball. He proved it to us last year when he had a couple out of the ballpark. We said, man, he got up on top of a high one. He sure did. 21
homers a year ago, drove in 88, batted .284, and with his wheels, he can also have an impact on the bases. He stole 34 last year. White Sox first and third, one out. They lead it 1-0. And that called a strike, and now Rios looks back at home plate umpire Mike Winters. And it's a 1-2.
Well, let's take a look at this one and see what happens. Well, it's down. Well, I'll tell you what, this could bode well for Burley when you're down in the strike zone. If you're going to call the low strikes, that's fine. He's not calling the high ones. You got to give something.
Swung on and missed. Carmona strikes him out, 2 down.
Well, and that's how many pitches was that? 4 on that. That's the first guy that hasn't seen at least 5 pitches against Carmona. Good slider. He's got a good one early today. But now as a hitter, you're saying, well, you're forcing me to swing at that pitch, but that one he called a strike. But Carmona happy. He's got a chance to get out of it and just give up the 1 run.
Carlos Quentin making his 3rd opening day start. 97 career homers after belting 26 last year, but his batting average was just .243 a season ago. Still, it's nice to have a guy with that kind of pop hitting more towards the bottom end of your order.
Well, and they were counting on this guy last year. They felt if they were offensively going to have a good year, he had to provide a lot of the power, and he's had his injury problems.
The 0-1. Swung out and missed. No balls, 2 strikes the count. With runners at first and third and 2 down here in the first inning. Carmona trying to get out of this.
I'll tell you what, he's thrown some very good sliders in the first inning. And, Carmona primarily a sinker ball pitcher, but that slider's had some nice break to it. In this cool weather, sometimes a breaking ball is a hard pitch to throw.
He's made 30 pitches already, but the 0-2 comes to Quentin, low and away. And the White Sox stay alive here in the first.
Santana, nice job of sliding out to block that ball. Made it look very easy. We talked about it in spring training, watching him play behind the dish there after having the knee surgery. He certainly showed no side effects to this point.
Gordon Beckham, the runner at third. Paul Konerko is over at first. And that misses outside, 2-2. Of course, Ozzie Guillen, the manager of the Chicago White Sox. Harold Baines, the coach at first base for Chicago. Of course, Baines, a beloved player during his time for the White Sox. And over at third is Jeff Cox. There's Big Harold, who spent a little time in a Tribe uniform. The set now in the 2-2. Jammed foul, third base side. Now, you've said to me before, there's Jeff Cox, the third base coach, on a cool day, you're better off to get jammed than you are to hit one off the end if you had your druthers.
I think so. People say when you get jammed, sometimes you can fight it off, and at least if it gets in there, you can push it off, and it may break your bat. But off the end of the bat, it's nothing but beehive. It stings for a while.
The 2-2. Off the end of the bat towards center, it's going to drop a base hit, and the White Sox tack on a second run. And a tough first inning continues for Fausto Carmona as Carlos Quentin picks up the 4th hit of the first inning for Chicago.
If I'm not mistaken, all hits have come with 2 strikes. I mean, this one a breaking ball that may have been up a little bit. Watch. See, they've given in when they get to 2 strikes. That one's elevated. That slider was up. So it gives them a little swinging room away. And Quentin just slaps up the middle, so they get a big 2-out base hit. And I'll tell you what, with 2 strikes, that's usually the tough hit to get, but they've been able to get Carmona early in this ball game. You say, Fausto, you go out there, you pitch ahead in the count, usually good things happen. But they've hurt him in the first inning with 2 strikes.
Well, you've got to give the White Sox hitters credit.
Yes, you do.
Because they have not given in to Carmona, or I guess they have given in and shortened up that stroke, and it's paid off for them.
They've shortened their stroke. Konerko, slider, other way, right there. Quentin, slider, up the middle. Beckham had a pitch on the inside. It was a sinker that he hit, and Pierre got one that he just slapped the other way.
Here now is A.J. Pierzynski. And it's up high, ball 1. Pierzynski, the last of the 3 left-handed hitters in the lineup. broken back grounder to third. Jack Hanahan throws him out, and the inning is over. But the White Sox strike first. 2 runs on 4 hits, 2 men left aboard. Indians coming to bat when we come back. Day here in Cleveland. Let's take a look at the Indians starting lineup presented by Progressive Insurance, proud to be the official auto insurance provider of the Cleveland Indians. Michael Brantley is Drupal Cabrera and Shin-Soo Choo at the top. Carlos Santana, Travis Hafner, and Orlando Cabrera in the middle. Then it's Austin Kearns, Matt Laporta, and Jack Hanahan round out the starting lineup for Manny Acta. Mark Burley's first pitch.
As always, we're barely get the lineups in, and he's already winding up. He doesn't take much time.
Brantley looked at a ball up and in. And takes a strike.
Well, Burley, a 32-year-old left-hander. This is his 9th opening day start, which is a record. Franchise record for the White Sox.
Fouled back.
And his 5th opening day start against the Indians, because we've opened up against them so often in the last few years.
Well, you remember last year on opening day, he made the play of the year with the ball up the first baseline and foul ground off the bat of Lou Marson, and he flipped it between his legs to first to retire Marson.
I think we showed it on the pregame today. But yeah, it was a terrific play. Flipped it to Konerko.
And the 2-2. To Brantley in the air to left. Pierre running in. He doesn't get there. It drops for a base hit. And Brantley, a wide turn, will scamper back to first. Boy, it looked like Pierre would get there in time, but the breeze is blowing in from left, and maybe it just knocked it down quicker than Pierre realized.
Well, and you're not going to play Michael deep, you wouldn't think, in left field, but he didn't get there. Either that or he just didn't get enough of that ball. He was jammed. See, I think Pierre broke back a little bit on that ball originally when it was hit. And it falls in, so a good start for the Indians. They get their first hit.
Well, let's see if the Tribe can take advantage as Drupal Cabrera batting in the 2-hole. Boy, this guy had a terrific spring. And I know that doesn't mean anything come the regular season. But it meant something in terms of he didn't show any ill effects from the broken forearm from a year ago.
You don't look at the numbers, but he looked ready to play.
Yeah.
You know, and I think last year he had to prove to himself. Remember how many times he grabbed that arm and he was sore because he tried to start early? He did look very good this spring. Just carry it over. He knows he's a big part.
High fly ball. Center field. Rios back. Onto the warning track. He makes the catch. And back to first goes Brantley. One down, but that ball carried quite a distance into deep center field off the bat of his Drupal Cabrera.
Let's take a look at the numbers for Mark Burley. Last year, a 500 pitcher. You know, he usually gets off to a good start, slows down at the end of the year, but another 200-inning season. He gave up 246 hits, 99 strikeouts. He's a guy that usually against the Indians, he's either really good or they get to him, you know, early, and they get him out of a ball game. He has pitched some great games against him, and the Indians have found a way to get to him.
Shin-Soo Choo looks at strike one.
You know, and the left-handers in there, Brantley, Choo, Hafner. It doesn't matter. Hanahan's in there because left-handers, you know, I think sometimes hit better off Burley than right-handers do.
The 0-1 in tight. Well, last year, Burley on opening day was dynamite against the Indians when he went 7 scoreless innings against the Tribe.
Yeah. He made 6 starts against them last year, Matt. And, you know, he was 2-1.
Swing and a miss. Tied him up pretty good, 1-2. Choo is another guy who left Arizona on a bit of a high note. He had 2 home runs in his last game in the desert after hitting 1 over the first month.
Well, the Indians and the Sox last year, they were 9-9 against each other. Chicago ended up having to come back. They won 6 out of the last 7 to get to the 9 wins.
Well, remember, the White Sox really stumbled out of the gate last year.
They were terrible early.
And then they caught fire, ran off they won about 25 out of 30.
Interleague play.
That's right.
They won 15 ball games out of the 18 they played in interleague.
That was part of that run.
And that's what got
first
them
place.
going.
Yep, they got into first place and then just fell on their face down the stretch.
Then they struggled at the end of the year against the Minnesota Twins. And that has been their problem, playing within the division. You know, and that's how you win the Central Division. And I think this may be one of the best races this year going on is the Central Division in the American League, because Detroit, they went out and made a lot of moves. Minnesota, everybody's going to count them out. They lost some guys, but they'll be right around with Nathan coming back. But last year, 32-40 against the Central Division were the White Sox.
Boy, back to Burley. Double play ball, Taylor made. And that'll end the first. After 1, it's Chicago 2, Cleveland nothing. Cleveland Indians baseball is brought to you by McDonald's. Hit a home run with a delicious frappe or real fruit smoothie from McDonald's. By your Northern Ohio Toyota dealers. And by AT&T. Second inning here at Progressive Field. Alexei Ramirez fouling the first pitch off from Fausto Carmona.
This is also a young man when you can hit down in the lineup like Ramirez, who's a very productive shortstop offensively. Takes pressure off him. That's bodes well for a lineup.
Won the Silver Slugger Award a year ago, did Ramirez, and look at that, 18 homers. Not bad for your
he's got some pop, man. A little wiry guy that can hit the ball a long way.
Swung on and missed, and Carmona makes quick work of him on 3 pitches. Third strikeout for Fausto. 1 down here in the second. Well, let's have a quick look We had our opening day injury report, and of course for the Indians, Grady Sizemore, one of the big keys there. And Sizemore was playing in spring training games by the time we left, and hopefully the Indians will have him back by the middle of the month, or at worst case, let's all knock on wood, the end of April. Jake Peavy holds a real key to the White Sox fortunes this year. If they get him back, get him healthy, then they've got a great chance. If they don't, then certainly they've got another question mark in their starting rotation. But Peavy had major surgery last year. I mean, it's not something that I've ever even heard of for a baseball player. His lat muscle just basically tore away from the bone.
You know, if he's going to be a really big key to that starting rotation.
Yeah, they were talking to him about it, Rick, and he said, I didn't even have anybody I could go to and say, well, how long did it take for you to come back? And nobody had ever had that before, or at least had surgery to correct it.
Well, he was the guinea pig for it, but I mean, you figure you hurt yourself like that, you got to try something, don't you? He's a gamer, though. Yeah. I expect to see him back, if at all possible.
Brent Morrell batting ninth for Chicago. The 2-2 from Carmona. Right back to the screen off the foul.
Here's a young man that won the job defensively for them this year. We saw him at the tail end of last year in September when they called him up. A good young player. They're expecting him to hit, because he did hit 3 homers last year. But Mark Teahan was the guy that.
Backhanded stab by Hanahan from the line. The throw picked out of the dirt by Laporte on one hop.
Nicely done.
2 down here in the second on a fine defensive play by Jack Hanahan.
Well, it looked like it might have been a double down the line, but Hanahan has been known to be a good defender. This is going to be our McDonald's. I'm loving it, and you got to love a nice defensive play like this at third base. Right on the line, he gets up, puts the ball on the ground. Matt Laporta helps him out, digs it out, makes a nice play on both ends. Very nice.
And with 2 down, Juan Pierre tried to bunt it, take it with him, but it hit him while he was still in the box for a foul ball. Pierre, an opposite field single in the first, came around to score the first run of the game. And it's 0-2.
Gave up the 0-2 base hit to him last time up. Stay right in there. I like that pitch. Doesn't give him the opportunity to slap it the other way. You're going to have to make him use those hands when you stay in there.
They come right back in and ring him up.
There you go.
Carmona fans a pair here in the second, and Chicago goes 1-2-3. The second here in Downtown Cleveland, Progressive Field, where the White Sox have the early 2-0 lead. Carlos Santana leads off, takes the first pitch strike. Santana, switch hitter. He had 6 homers, drove in 22 and 13 doubles last year. And of course, we didn't get to see him a ton because the knee injury he suffered early in August in Boston cut his season short.
No, but this is the side of plate that you want to see Santana improve upon, that right side.
So really, now that you think about it, it was really only, what, a month and a couple of weeks we really had a chance to see it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It was only 40-some games.
Full count. Santana, then Travis Hafner and Orlando Cabrera here in the second. And a line drive base hit into left field for Santana. So Carlos comes out swinging to start the second inning.
As always. Watch. He was out in front on this ball, but he kept his hands back. Looked like a changeup away. You see where he was fooled on it, but the hands were back. The high leg kick. I'll tell you, this young man can hit. Second straight inning that the Indians have had their leadoff man aboard.
Now Travis Hafner, the Indians' DH. A little more open stance this year from Pronk. And the pitch is outside for ball one. You know, we talked about in our snow-shortened game in Columbus, you berated me.
I did not.
Yes, you did.
Oh, I never saw it. I still don't.
The swing and a miss. Well, I talked to him about it, and it's really more something he's only doing in batting practice. He's not really carrying it into games. He's using it in practice, just in practice reps to load up his hands to get timing. We're talking about a leg kick from Travis Hafner that he's using in
where
BP.
Santana, you're talking about where Santana lifts that front foot and gets into it.
Ground ball right side, fielded by Beckham, and he bobbles it. He'll be able to turn and get Hafner at first, but Santana moves into scoring position. That had a double play written all over it. Thankfully for the Tribe, Beckham couldn't come up with it cleanly.
Well, going to his left, he had to field it cleanly, and I think a lot of it had to come into where he was thinking to before he even caught the ball. But you're right. I think if he fields it cleanly, it would be a double play with Hafner running. He boots it, but able to stay with it, get Hafner at first base. Santana moves into scoring position.
Orlando Cabrera. The Indians signing him late in the offseason before spring training. Cabrera, who has basically been a shortstop his whole major league career, but he was a second baseman as a youngster. He told me his guy growing up was Ryne Sandberg.
Oh, not a bad second baseman to follow. He's a good baseball player. He hasn't missed a beat over at second.
Chopper at third, Morel, long throw across, and Cabrera out number 2.
Well, let's take a look at that White Sox defense behind Burley this afternoon. In the outfield, Juan Pierre, Alex Rios, and Carlos Quinton. On the infield, Brent Morel, Alexei Ramirez, Gordon Beckham, Paul Konerko, A.J. Przinsky behind the plate.
Boy, and A.J. Przinsky, he's the kind of guy that when you play against him, he tends to get under your skin. But one thing you cannot take away from Przinsky is his durability.
Oh, man, he's never been on the DL, has he?
Never a day on the DL.
At that position, it is a remarkable stat.
He's 25th all-time at the start of the year. He's logged more than 11,000 innings behind the plate.
Yeah, he's a true gamer. There's no question about it. You can get into that position. Yeah, he's never been on the DL, and collisions. And he's been a human a dartboard because people don't like him. They throw at him. He's been hit. We've done it the number of times when he was with Minnesota.
Plus all the foul tips you take and everything else that goes with the position.
He's a gamer. No question about it.
Burley with a 1-1. In the dirt, blocked by Przinsky. Indians trying to get on the board here in the second inning. Down 2-0. Carlos Santana at second base. And Przinsky, like Konerko, was a free agent at the end of last year, and they weren't sure they were going to bring him back either.
Yeah, they did.
Catchers are such a rare commodity, though.
You know, it's tough to replace a guy that plays every day. I don't care offensive numbers. You know, the key is, you know, you go out there and he does okay offensively, holds his own. He's not a real big power hitter, but he holds his own.
2 down, runner at second, and the 3-1 from Burley. Kearns takes it high, ball 4. So Matt Laporta will get his first chance to cash in here in 2011. Let's take a look at our great clip of the game. Brought to you by Great Clips. We go back to last year, opening day in Chicago. This is what we talked about earlier. Off the foot, into foul ground, between the legs, flip.
On the roll. Watch him roll after he flips it. Momentum carrying him over. And I mean, it was just a perfect play. Konerko bare hands it. Look at Baczynski. Unbelievable. It really was a great play.
Relax. You're at Great Clips.
You know, and I don't think he wanted to throw strikes here to Austin Kearns. He pitched around him.
Sure looked that way, didn't it?
Yeah, it sure did to me with Cabrera at second base, or Santana at second. It looked like he just pitched around him, and he'd rather take his chances here with Matt Laporta.
The 1-0. Swung on and missed. And hey, as a young hitter, that's something that Matt Laporta is going to have to understand and realize, that in a 2-out situation, they're going to make the young guy, the unknown quantity, they're going to make that guy beat you.
But that's where Matt's got to step up and start getting some big hits here and get an idea, because you're hitting 8th in the lineup. There's no pressure on him to drive in runs. But this is where you have to step up and get some big hits for your ball club.
Checked his swing and it fouls away. Now he's down to the count, 1-2.
When you look right in this situation, facing left-handers, Kearns, Laporta, right-handed bats. Those are guys that are going to have to perform, you know, in this lineup if they want to be successful against left-handers. So for Matt Laporta, he needs to have a big year. He really does.
First and second, 2 down. The 1-2 pitch way up high.
That's the show pitch right there. He's going to show him the fastball and attack him with off-speed pitches, knowing, you know, he's proved he can hit a fastball like a lot of young hitters do. You're going to have to beat Burley with his off-speed pitches, or that cutter in on your fist.
And the 2-2. Fights it off. Good off-speed pitch. You called it.
Yeah, he's going to throw the off-speed pitches for strikes. He's not going to throw his fastball. He's going to tease Laporta with the fastball if he wants to chase it and let him get himself out. There you go. There's the breaking ball, an occasional curve ball. He cuts it into the right-handers, and he's got his little changeup away.
And the 2-2. Up high, full count.
See, Burley's looking in. He wants to see where that pitch was, but we said in the first inning with Carmona pitching, you're not going to get a high strike. Well, the opportunity now, runners get on the base and they can run.
Carlos Santana, the runner at second. Austin Kearns at first. They'll be off with his 3-2 pitch with 2 down here in the second inning to Matt Laporta. And a high fly ball, left center field. Rios is there, the center fielder. Makes the catch, and the Indians strand a pair. Through 2, it's Chicago 2, Cleveland nothing. Welcome back. I want to remind you to stay tuned later in the game and see our Miller Taste Greatness moment. Full house here today at Progressive Field.
Looks great, doesn't it?
Boy, it sure does.
Looks great, man. The seats are full. They're dressed accordingly.
Now the Indians just need to give them something to get up and get rowdy about. Gordon Beckham, Adam Dunn, Paul Konerko here in the third. Beckham doubled and scored a run in the first inning. Line drive, foul. Well, that was weird, but it almost dropped in fair territory.
Cue shot.
Sometimes those balls off the end of the bat look like they're hit in slow motion the way everyone reacts to them.
Well, you see a big swing, and it's like a changeup coming at you. I mean, defensively, they're throwing a changeup at you.
That's no changeup. Smashed right up the middle. And Beckham is 2 for 2. Aerial coverage today provided by Goodyear. Everything Goodyear has learned making tires for big league performance inspires what they roll into yours. Goodyear, more driven.
Beautiful shot. Nice sunny day. That's the play. That's the time to be up there.
If you join us late game time temperature 43. Swing and a miss by Adam Dunn as the Indians shift the infield once again. 3 on the right side, but with nobody in terms of base runners on the left side.
Yes.
Third baseman Jack Hanahan slides all the way over to the shortstop position.
Yeah, he had to stay close to third because Pierre was on third the first time up, so he can really move over now.
And the 0-1 is low and away. Dunn struck out his first time up on a 2-strike pitch that was really a good fastball tailing away, and Dunn just didn't have a real good swing at it. It almost looked like he was expecting an off-speed pitch the way he reacted to it.
Well, I'm sure they've done their scouting report. Carmona's not. You're not going to see many off-speed pitches from him. Yeah. It's going to be everything's going to be hard.
Maybe it was just a case where
he didn't see the ball.
He didn't think it was going to be a strike, and then went, uh-oh.
Yeah, he didn't. He may not have picked it up, and the next thing you know, he sees it's a strike. So you got to put an emergency hack on it.
Low and away, didn't miss by much. 2-2. Carmona steps away. You talk about picking up the ball. Sandy Alomar still maintains that was one of the problems that posed them when they faced Randy Johnson in that 94 opener here.
Against left-handers, yeah.
Left-handers, day game. The parking garage glass reflected, and it really made it tough for the hitters to pick up the ball. And then after that, they dropped those green tarps over those glass windows in the parking garage directly in center field. Mike Winter's been a little stingy with the strike zone here in the early going. There are those tarps that cover the glass windows now. Runner goes, fouled away.
Well, this is a good opportunity. A guy that strikes out a lot to get a strike him out, throw him out, double play here if Carmona can make his pitch. Beckham not what you'd consider a good base stealer. Although, you know, he's going to take off. Not going to get a great jump. He's not like a Pierre, that's for sure. He'll wait till that ball goes to home plate, banking that Dunn's going to hit the ball.
Runner goes, 3-2, hit high, deep to right. Chu is back, and this baby is long gone.
That's strength right there.
Adam Dunn with a 2-run homer, and it's 4-zip Chicago. That's why they signed him.
It almost like he got out front of that pitch, and I mean it was a high drive that just carried. That shows you the strength of that man right there. Watch him get out front, boom. And that thing just carried, and it was way up there. I watched Chu, and I knew he wasn't going to get there. You don't even see that ball come down into the bullpen.
All Chicago here in the early going. They lead it 4-0, and Paul Konerko, with the bases empty and nobody out, fouls a pitch back. No balls, 2 strikes.
That's another 2-strike hit. I believe every hit that they have, 5 of the 6 have come with 2 strikes today.
Well, Carmona has thrown a lot of strikes. 42 out of his 59 pitches have been for strikes. In the major leagues, Konerko and Dunn were 3 and 4. And now they're teammates.
Well, and they're hitting 3 and 4 in their lineup. So you would expect that to be a nice 1-2 punch.
In the air, right field. Chu over near the line, looking up into the sun, and it's going to slice into the seats.
Well, and that's what makes it even that much tougher. When the guys in front of those two get on
base, yeah.
Then you have to pitch to those guys. You can't, make them try and hit a perfect pitch, or if you're afraid, you can go ahead and walk them and let them run the bases because both of them are slow. But when you've got to throw them strikes, Pierre was on once, he scored. Beckham on twice, he scored twice. So those guys will score a lot of runs if they get on in front of them.
They've driven in 3 of the 4. Konerko fouling that pitch over top of the Indians' dugout. I don't think there was anyone who looked at Chicago's lineup this spring coming into the season and said, boy, the White Sox are going to have a tough time scoring runs.
Well, they did early last year. Then they may run into it. But I'll tell you what, the way they put some swings on with 2 strikes today, they've given in to the fact where they're not trying to hit the ball. They used to be an all-or-nothing team. You hit the ball out of the ballpark or something like that. But today, they've cut that swing down. We'll see if that remains that way the rest of the year. If they do, that's going to be a tough lineup to pitch to.
Konerko fights it off.
4 out of their 6 hits, they've been behind in the count. They've been able to get base hits when they've been down in the count, and that's not an easy thing to do.
And the beauty of the White Sox lineup now is that Konerko, who hit .312 last year with 39 homers and 111 ribbies, he doesn't have to have those same kind of numbers this year. He could have a down year personally, and they could still be a much better offense because they've got some good protection around him.
Well, and I'll tell you what they've done. They've worked Carmona very well today deep into the count where a lot of guys have seen at least 5 pitches or more.
They've been able to fight off 2-strike pitches.
And when you do that, you're making that guy work, and there's another 2-strike hit and another full count hit.
3 straight hits to open the 3rd inning. And we'll pause for station identification. You're watching Cleveland Indians baseball. Matt Underwood, Rick Manning with you here at Progressive Field, where the White Sox are off to the early lead 4-0. And Fausto Carmona struggling here in the 3rd with nobody out. Runner at first base. Alex Rios, strikeout victim, his first time up, is the batter. And he takes a strike. And a strike to the outside corner, 0-2. And remember, as we detailed at the outset, the White Sox, this is a team that Carmona had a lot of success against last year, and historically he's pitched very well against them.
Yeah.
But today they've turned the tables on him in the early going. This next pitch will be his 70th already.
And you're in the top of the 3rd inning, so that's not the way you want to come out. And it's not like he's been behind in the counts. He's been ahead in the counts throwing strikes. Normally that's not the case.
And the 1-2. Swung on and missed. Carmona has now struck out 5. Explosions that rocked Fairport Harbor earlier this year raised serious questions about underground gas lines. How safe is your pipeline system? The investigator Tom Meyer has some surprising answers Monday night at 11 on Channel 3 News. One down, a runner at first. Carlos Quinton, who had an RBI single his first time up, looks at ball one. That's hit a long way. Deep left field. High and off the top of the fence. No, gone.
Yeah, it hit the fan's hand.
It hit above the railing, and it's a 2-run homer for Carlos Quinton.
Yeah, it did.
It's a 3-run third. Make it a 4-run third. And now a 6-0 Chicago lead.
Well,
Manny Acta's going to come out and beg to differ.
Well, he has to because his players are arguing. But that ball hit the fans above the yellow line, and it bounced back into play. He's got to go out there and ask him, and maybe ask him to go to replay. But the third base umpire saw it. I know
well, he's going to ask for help right now.
That's okay. The fan, you'll see. We'll get a replay. They did reach over, and it was a home run. It was the right call. They agreed with him. I don't think they're going to have to look.
Well, they're all walking this way.
Well, maybe it's opening day, and they want to go to the replay booth. There's no need to, I don't think, because I saw it where it was over the yellow line. So how about that? First game, let's go to our first replay. But he hit the home run. He's going to be credited with that, I believe.
Well, let's take a look on our own replay and see what we can gather.
There you go. Another pitch up, and Quinton, he got it. Watch the fan. And he's over the yellow line and over the railing. There it is. Hits his... That's
hit the railing. Looked like it hit the railing between his hands.
It is a homer. It might have went through the wickets. He missed it. That's an error on the fan, but a home run for Quinton. So they got the call right at third base. It was Guccione who is the umpire. So that's going to be the second 2-run homer in the inning.
And a rough day at the office already for Fausto Carmona with only one out here in this third inning. He's at 72 pitches, and the White Sox have already piled up 6 runs on 8 hits.
Well, you look at this, even though it's opening day, as a spring training day, Carmona's got to stay in there to get his work done before Manny Acta gets that bullpen up, because you are only in the third inning. And usually when you break spring training in camp, your starter is going to go 100 pitches. But half of the hitters, Matt, for this Chicago White Sox team, 8 of the 15 hitters that Carmona has faced to this point have seen 5 or more pitches. So they've really worked this guy and made him work.
Okay, there's the official
that's a home run.
Confirmation.
Yeah, they just went in there to check, and it was absolutely the correct call.
Mike Winters going over to quickly explain to Manny Acta what he saw on the replay. And now A.J. Pierzynski to the plate with only one out here in the third. Carmona deals, and it's a strike to Pierzynski. Grounded to third his first time up. Golfs it towards center. Brantley back. Makes the grab, 2 away. Well, let's meet the third member of our broadcast team here today. Let's join Katie Witham out on the plaza.
Thanks, Matt. You know, weekends are for kids here at Progressive Field. Beginning April 30th, every Saturday or Sunday, we are going to have special activities right here on the plaza going on for all the young and the young at heart. Come on out anytime after 10:30 in the morning, but make sure you stay until after the game to move it around the bases. Sponsored by the Cleveland Clinic. For more information and for tickets, check out theindians.com. Guys, back to you.
All right, thanks a lot, Katie. Carmona gets out of the third, but not before Chicago does some serious damage. They lead it 6-0. Six-zip Chicago, bottom of the third. Jack Hanahan to lead it off. His first official AB as an Indian. And you won the everyday third base job this spring after Jason Donald was injured by a pitch that hit him and suffered a fractured bone in his hand. But to Hanahan's credit, he didn't win it by default. He went out and won it. There's a high fly ball, left field. Juan Pierre is there. One away. Well, before the ball game, the Indians paid tribute to Bob Feller, who passed away this offseason. And it was a very stirring ceremony. His wife, Ann, was on hand, and then Ann went to the mound, placed a baseball on the pitcher's rubber with an inscription that read, "Bobby, keep pitching, Ann."
And that's what she called her husband, Bob Feller. She called him Bobby.
And so we did not have a traditional ceremonial first pitch. We had what we call a silent first pitch, a moment of silence in Feller's memory. Brantley fouling it out of play. 1-1 to count.
Well, she placed it on the right spot on the rubber because Bob Feller, even when he was 91 years old, when he threw out the first pitch, he would always throw from the pitcher's rubber. 60 feet, 6 inches. He would never move up a step.
Strike called, outside edge. 1-2 the count. Off the end of the bat, loop toward left, but out goes the shortstop Ramirez. 2 down. Well, I was looking at some old quotes and a couple that really struck me. One was Yogi Berra, Hall of Famer, former Yankee, who said, quote, "The only way to hit Bob Feller was to start your swing in the on-deck circle." That's the kind of respect that players had for his fastball.
You don't get quotes like that anymore. That's beautiful.
The other one I saw, Rick, was from Lefty Gomez, also a Hall of Famer. He said, quote, "I took a called third strike from Bob." As Struble bounces one back to the mound and Burley throws him out. He said, "I never saw it, but I complained to the umpire that it sounded low." Indians go 1-2-3, and the White Sox lead it 6-0. Fourth inning. It's a 6-0 White Sox lead. Brent Morel leading off for Chicago. Carmona now has made 76 pitches. Burley, his counterpart, has made just 46. Down low. 1-1 the count. And a strike to the outside edge puts Carmona in the driver's seat here, 1-2. And a line drive base hit to center field for Brent Morel. Took a terrific defensive play by Jack Hanahan to keep him off the bases his first time up. Well, let's take a look at today's trivia question. Which two players share the Major League record for most career opening day home runs?
Oh, wow. That's a good question.
Juan Pierre singled and scored in the first, called out on strikes in the second. And he looks at a ball down low, pulled the bat back. Off the glove of Santana, but he grabbed it quickly to keep Morel from straying too far at first. All time, the White Sox are 57-53 on opening day, including a mark of 13-15 against Cleveland. But the White Sox have been very good of late, winning 5 of their last 6 season openers.
You know, and you look at the numbers, already 9 hits. This is the first 2-0 count by Carmona today. You know, with 9 hits, I find that hard to believe.
Well, I think the bullpen is just about to spring into action, and perhaps they saw the same thing you saw, Rick, and that is he's at 82 pitches and finally may now be running out of gas.
You have to. You get him his work in. You got to treat this now. Even though it's opening day, he's got to continue to get his work to extend him out, even though it's a 6-0 ball game. You're only in the third inning. You can't, start burning that bullpen up early.
That was Justin Germano, who is just starting to loosen in the Tribe bullpen. He's technically, I guess you'd look at him as the long man.
Absolutely. He was last year and did a nice job in that role.
A little bit high, and it's ball 4. So the first 2 socks aboard here in the 4th, and it's not getting any better for Fausto.
No, it is not. His first walk of the day.
And that's going to do it, I think. This looks like Manny Acta coming out.
You know what? I don't even know. Is he ready?
I wouldn't think so. He just started throwing.
I mean, if he can get loose in 5 pitches in this weather, he's amazing. I think he's going to slow him down and then maybe one more hitter after this because Beckham's already 2 for 2. I think it's time to just settle him down and then let Germano get ready, and then he'll be gone by the time you face Dunn, regardless of what happens.
Yeah, you're right.
He just hasn't had enough time to get loose.
So Manny breaks up the conference on the mound, heads back to the dugout. Gordon Beckham, as Rick mentioned, 2 for 2. He doubled in the first and scored, singled in the third and scored. Carmona has struck out 5 and has 3 ground ball outs. But now more than ever, he needs one of those double play balls. The top 4 hitters in the White Sox lineup today are a combined 6 for 8. They've scored 5 and driven in 3. And there's another base hit. Coming into third is Morel, and they're going to stop him there. And the bases are loaded.
Yeah,
with nobody out.
See if Manny comes right back out. And if Germano's ready, because he can't leave him in there. I mean, already 10 hits, and Carmona's a guy usually that doesn't give up many of them. And here's a guy, Beckham, already 3 for 3, and a guy that hit his first American League home run in his last at-bat.
Dunn, Adam Dunn, yeah. Beckham already 3 for 3 down at first, and now Dunn. A titanic 2-run homer his last time up. That might have been as high as it was far.
It was. He got out there, and that ball was unbelievable high. You got to be some kind of strong to hit it that high. And it had carry to it.
Swats another one in the gap right center. This is going to get at least 2 home, if not 3. Morel scores. Pierre scores. Beckham stops at third. Adam Dunn with a 2-run double. And that will be the knockout blow for Fausto Carmona. It's now 8-0 Chicago.
Well, you know, you play it safe now. You don't take chances in a game like this. You hold them up. You hold up Beckham at third base. Dunn with a great afternoon. A couple more RBIs. He's 2 for 3 with 4 ribbies. And you're exactly right. That puts Carmona to the canvas, and he's going to be out. This ball plugs the gap. A double. It is now 8-0. Carmona gives up 8 runs, responsible for the other 2 that are out there. 11 base hits, and not the way you want to start your brand new season for 2011.
So we've got a timeout here in Cleveland with our score. Chicago 8, Cleveland nothing. a rough day at the office.
Yeah,
3
disappointing
innings,
day.
8 runs, 11 hits, 1 walk, struck out 5.
And this against a team who he's had a lot of success against since 2007. 7-3 coming in, but not today. They had 7 hits out of their 11 with 2 strikes.
Meanwhile, Justin Germano on to try and hold the fort. Keep the White Sox from turning this into a big-time rout.
Well, it's already a rout at 8-zip. Just trying to keep them under double digits, but they got nobody out in second and third.
And Paul Konerko already 2 for 2 at the plate, and he got hit by the pitch.
Well, you don't blame them. The way these guys are swinging the bats today, you got to go inside and get in the inside part of that plate. He's not budging, so it just deflects off the elbow there. He's got the pad.
He's awfully salty for a ball that just barely hit him.
You know what? You're exactly right, especially this early in the game. It just touched him. He could have moved.
Alex Rios struck out twice already against Carmona and looks at a ball up high. He's got to be wondering, what does everybody else know that I didn't figure out today?
Well, there's always that one guy that, you have a party, a hit parade, somebody that doesn't show up. Long way to go, though. We're only in the 4th inning.
Chop foul. Actually, Rios, A.J. Pierzynski, and Alexi Ramirez 0 for 6 combined. And everybody else piled on. Konerko 2 for 2. Dunn 2 for 3 with 4 driven in. Beckham's 3 for 3. Juan Pierre 1 for 2 with a walk. And Brent Morrell 1 for 2. Carlos Quentin 2 for 2 with 3 driven in. Strike called. 1-2 the count.
Quentin standing up there like he can't believe they're making the pitches to him. He's getting the pitches called against him. Has gone down twice today.
Germano with a 1-2. And Rios, high fly right field, Chu under it. Runner tags, but Beckham's not coming home.
Well, they're smart. They see, they know Chu's arm. And with nobody out, an 8-0 ball game, you're not going to test it.
I'm going to bring up Carlos Quentin, who's having a big day already, 2 for 2. An RBI single in the first with 2 outs. And then a 2-run homer in the third. Justin Germano, last year with the Indians, pitched in 23 games, an ERA of 3.31. He actually made 1 start as well. But he's a guy that pitched a lot of those mop-up innings, if you will, but he did a nice job. And at the end of the season, the Indians had to make those tough decisions, and they left him off the 40-man roster.
Well, from where he came from, you can see how they did that.
Yeah, he was in Japan.
Didn't they send out emails to try and make a ball club? They had a space. They invited him to Akron, and he ends up pitching in the big leagues and doing a good job.
Yeah. Spent all of 2009 in Japan. Quentin ropes it deep left field.
This guy's
Look
off
out.
to some kind
and
of start.
Off the wall. That's going to score 2 more. Beckham and Dunn come home to score. And into second base with a double is Carlos Quentin. He's driven in 5 runs already here today.
Well, in those other 2 runs, you can close the book now on Fausto Carmona. He gave up 10 this afternoon. So those 2 he left on base, the inherited runners come in and score. And what an afternoon for Carlos Quentin. A single, double, and a home run. He's a triple away from the cycle. And his 3 at-bats with 5 ribs. Got 5 stakes on the scorecard today.
Now A.J. Pierzynski 0 for 2. Checked his swing. Did he go? He did, says third base ump Chris Guccione. But the Indians left Germano off their 40-man roster at the end of last year. But Nobody claimed him. He came to spring training as a non-roster invite and made the club. Pitched his way onto the team, but he's having a rough go of it, just like Carmona did. Base hit, right field. Przynski has joined the hit parade as Konerko comes home. 11-0 Chicago. Quinton stops at third. And the White Sox have batted around here in the fourth. AJ Przynski just pulling it through the right side, and now the right-handed hitting Alexei Ramirez 0 for 2 steps in with runners at the corners. And a breaking ball in for a strike. And a breaking ball that hung, and it's roped down the left field line. Coming home to score is Carlos Quinton. AJ Przynski on his way to third. He'll stop there. Into second with a double is Alexei Ramirez.
Right.
12-zip Chicago, and there's still only one man out.
Fourth double of the day. They have the 2 home runs, so 6 out of their 14 hits. Extra base. That's a hanging curveball right there. That stays up, and he just drilled it down the line. And they're taking batting practice this afternoon. The White Sox, boy, they feel free and easy in the batter's box, and they are hitting it all over this ballpark. 14 hits on 12 runs.
Brent Morrell, who started this inning with a base hit to center field, chops it foul to third base coach Jeff Cox. Even the fans can't make the play. It's down low, 1 ball and 1 strike. A dozen runs on 14 hits now for Chicago. And that's a fair ball. Coming home is Przynski. Alexei Ramirez right on his heels, and into second base with another double in the inning is Brent Morrell. He has 2 hits in the inning now, driving in 2 more runs. And this is about as ugly an opener as I can recall ever seeing.
Well, it is. Don't know anything about it. Another hanging breaking ball. And another one pulled down the line. This one stays inside the line at third base, down into the corner. 5 doubles now, and this is a huge inning. 8-run 4th inning.
The only guy who's been retired was Alex Rios, who's 0 for 3 in the game.
And he's not due up for another few hitters, so they better hurry up and get somebody else out. You're back up to the top of the lineup. You're in the 4th inning, and Pierre's hitting for the 4th time.
4 doubles in the inning for Chicago. All 4 have driven in at least 1 run. 3 of the 4 have driven in a pair. And the White Sox have gone 11 for 16 as a team with a runner on base today. You talk about a feeding frenzy.
Well, there's only 3 guys in the lineup that haven't driven in a run.
Juan Pierre rope-a-dope to right field. Chu makes the grab. And holding at second base is Brent Morrell, and a mock cheer from the hometown crowd. Now Gordon Beckham, who is 3 for 3 with a double, 2 singles, and he has scored 3 runs.
Yeah, when you talk about driving in the runs, it's Pierre and Beckham and Rios that haven't driven in runs. Everybody else has at least an RBI on that White Sox team.
Missed outside. 1-0. Popped him up. Behind the plate, Santana, will he have a play? To the screen. Yes, he holds on. And the inning is finally over. But the White Sox erupt for 8 runs here in the 4th. Well, we go to the home half of the 4th, and Shin-Soo Choo, Carlos Santana, and Travis Hafner due up for the Indians.
Well, Burley has had quite some time to sit in that dugout. I'm sure you don't mind when you're a starting pitcher and your team affords you 14 runs in the first 4 innings. But the goal, coming out, throws strikes, and if anybody can do it, this guy does, because he works quickly.
Let's head out to the bleachers and join Katie Witham.
Matt, I'm sitting here in the newest hotspot out here at Progressive Park. It is the Time Warner Cable Bleachers. Tickets, just $10, Matt, $10 to come out here and sit with me. Why aren't you guys out here already? Check out theindians.com to get your bleacher seats, guys.
I'm going to join you in about an inning, Katie. Hold on. Save a seat.
Are you saying I'm going to be going solo the rest of the way here?
I think you might
You've
be.
had enough?
She says there's new seats. I got to try them. This one's getting old.
0-1 to count on Santana. The ball is down low. Carlos with the base hit his first time up. Indians got a leadoff single in the bottom of the 1st from Michael Brantley. Leadoff hit from Santana in the 2nd. That's been it offensively so far for the Tribe. 1-2. Out of plate on the right side. Mark Burley, we've seen him on days where 2 runs is a lot to overcome. Then they pile on 4 more in the 3rd, and you knew it was going to be tough. But after that 8 spot in the 4th, ooh.
Not just, yeah, he knows what it's like. You take him when you can get him. He's just a trooper. He'll go out and won't alter his game plan.
2 down.
You know, he's a ground ball guy. He's going to continue to change his speeds. You know, for Mark Burley, that's what he does. You're going to find out, and I sort of like the way he goes about his craft and pitching. You find out early. Either you're going to get me or I'm going to get you, and, you know, he hangs in there. He gives up his share of hits, but he knows how to pitch with runners on base, and you get him a few runs, and he knows what to do with it.
Now, Travis Hafner grounded out his first time up, fouled back out of play. Hafner hit .278 a year ago with the 13 homers, 50 driven in, doubled 29 times. There's a liner towards center. Rios will make the grab, and the Indians go quickly. Mark Burley has retired 7 in a row. Sunday night on STO. Bruce Drennan takes your calls and emails during All Bets Are Off, live at 7 o'clock. Then golf pro Jimmy Hanlon gets you ready for golf season during the Golf Zone at 9. All Bets Are Off in the Golf Zone Sunday night, starting at 7 only on STO.
Well, speaking of Jimmy Allen, it's his birthday today. So, Jimmy, happy birthday. He's turning the big 4-0.
That's right. Happy birthday.
Can you believe it?
That's my roommate you're talking about now.
Yes, it is. Well, now he's 5-0 if I know he's your roommate.
Adam Dunn sends one to Michael Brantley in center field for out number 1. Let's go back to the studios right now for an in-game update with Dave Chudowski.
Matt, Rick, hello. How about opening day in Philly? Bases loaded, bottom of the ninth. John Mayberry Jr. with the base hit and the 5-4 victory. A 3-run rally in the ninth. What a way to do it on opening day. Back to you.
All right, thanks a lot, Chud. Well, it's amazing. Yesterday there were
3-run ninth, they said, right? So that was like Cincinnati getting 4 in the ninth.
They were down 6-3 in the ninth inning, rallied back in the home half to win it. In St. Louis, they had a 1-run lead in the ninth inning.
Right, I saw
Cameron
that game.
Maben hit the home run off of who was trying
their closer,
Ryan Franklin, who's trying to close it for St. Louis. That tied it, and then they won it in extra innings for the Padres. So a lot of ninth inning dramatics here in the opening days of Major League Baseball for 2011. Justin Germano, Paul Konerko, ground ball to third. Jack Hanahan, low throw dug out by Laporta. 2 down. Aerial coverage provided today by Goodyear. Everything Goodyear has learned making tires for big league performance inspires what they roll into yours. Goodyear, more driven. Now the weather has been pretty close to ideal for an opening day in Cleveland. Yeah, it's a little on the chilly side, but based on what we saw 2 days ago in Columbus, this is tremendous. Unfortunately, the game is not followed. Rios 0 for 3 today. Checked his swing. Did he go? He did not, says first base ump Mike Everett.
Well, he's seen, 15 pitches, 14 pitches and 10 strikes. So this has been the one guy that they've been able to handle. The one and only guy.
Ooh. Good looking pitch, called a ball, 2-1. Germano works quickly, and a breaking ball swung on and missed to even the count. Checked to swing, foul, tipped it back on glancing off of Santana. Justin Germano came on in relief of Carmona in the 4th inning, hit the first batter he faced, then retired Rios on a fly ball to right field. Then he gave up 4 straight hits, 3 of them doubles, and now has settled in to retire the last 4 in a row. Did he go? He did not. Full count. Carmona, for the record, went 3 innings, allowing 10 runs on 11 hits, walked 1, struck out 5. And the payoff pitch, high and fouled on the left side for Rios. We are in the top of the 5th here at Progressive Field. Coming home to Port. Germano steps away. Now, the one nice thing, usually on opening day is followed by an off day.
Normally it is. You're right, for a rainout.
And that's ball 4. And this is one of those games, really, if you're either team, you don't want an off day after this one. If you're on the plus side of this, if you're Chicago, you don't want an off day after you have a day like this offensively. You want to get right back out there and swing the bat, especially if you're Carlos Quentin, who's 3 for 3 with a homer, a double, a single, and 5 driven in. But if you're Cleveland and you're on the wrong side of this, you don't want an off day to have to sit around and stew about it all day either.
You're absolutely right. Quentin, what an afternoon he's had to start to his new year. He's a triple away from the cycle. And, you know, here's a guy that can't run. And we've said it before, you know, if he gets a triple, there's something wrong. But never say that, because it's going to have to take a deflection and maybe a couple of guys to run into each other. But
well, this ballpark has a way of producing some odd triples.
Odd triples, right, because it's not a triples ballpark. It's one of the hardest parks to hit triples in.
Quentin fouled on the left side, but we've seen it before. You hit a ball in that center field area. If it hits just right, it can carry them past somebody.
Left
and then
center
you've got a
field
chance.
and
Yeah.
yeah, it can.
Sammy Sosa drove in 5 in 1991 on opening day for Chicago against Baltimore. The last White Sox player to do that.
You know, normally you come up for opening day, you say, okay, I just want to get my first hit, get it out of the way, you know. Not only do you get your first hit, you get your first homer, you get 5 ribbies, and you got something to build on.
He's got a month of baseball already.
Yeah, he's got a week full. And there's still, he may still get 2 more at-bats in this game.
And the 1-2 swung on and missed. Germano strikes him out, and the inning is over. We'll head to the bottom of the 5th. 14-0 Chicago. Bottom of the 5th inning. Orlando Cabrera, Austin Kearns, Matt Laporta. All right-handed bats against Burley. And the left-hander's first pitch in for a strike. He retired Cabrera on a ground out to third back in the 2nd inning. In the air to right field. Back goes Quentin a couple of steps. 1 away. Once again, let's go down and join Katie Witham.
Thanks, Matt. We've got a great crowd on hand out here today, and we want to help get your family out here to the ballpark. Make sure to check out the KeyBank Grand Slam 4-pack. It has everything you need at an affordable price, including 4 Indians tickets, food, 4 Indians baseball caps, and parking. Log on to Indians.com to get yours. Guys?
All right, thanks, Katie. Here's Austin Kearns with a grounder to short and 2 quick outs in the 5th inning. Well, the Indians with a big crowd here today at Progressive Field. Packed house, sold out. But unfortunately, Chicago has had all the fun. They got 2 in the 1st, 4 in the 3rd, and then a huge 8 spot in the 4th inning. Matt Laporta flied to center with a couple aboard to end the 2nd inning. And a lazy fly to right field. Drifting back is Quinton. And the Indians go 1-2-3. Mark Burley is rolling. He has retired 10 in a row. A 14-0 lead as we go to the 6th inning. Here at Progressive Field, A.J. Pierzynski, Alexi Ramirez, and Brent Morel will bat for Chicago. Justin Germano came on to finish the 4th inning. And he also worked the 5th. He's made 33 pitches. And the right-hander deals. Pierzynski takes it up high for ball 1. There's a high drive. Right field or center fielder Brentley is back, and that's out number 1. Let's get the answer to our trivia question here today. Major League record for career opening day homers. 2 players share that mark. Frank
Griffey.
Robinson.
Yeah, I remember
Jr.
Frank get a few.
8 of them.
And Junior, okay. Well, one Hall of Famer and one soon-to-be Hall of Famer.
High fly ball. Wonder how many people in attendance here today were also there in '75 when he hit the opening day homer against the Yankees as a player manager. I mean, that's some kind of feat.
Probably about 3, 4. Wasn't many, I'll bet.
Well, you're one.
No,
you
I'm not.
weren't there. That's right. You weren't on the club yet.
Tommy Bowe was there. He was coloring in his book, keeping score.
Would Mike Segui have been there for that one?
Yes, he would. Yep.
He was a traveling secretary
Mike
then,
Segui
right?
was there. That's correct. Not many, I would not venture to say.
Two down for Brent Morel. Single, a 2-run double, and a run scored. Mark Teahen has moved to the on-deck circle, which would lead me to believe that Juan Pierre's day is over. That's hit pretty well to right. Back goes Chu. And he makes the catch. 3 up, 3 down. And we'll go to the bottom of the 6th as the Indians try to get on the board. It's a 14-0 Chicago lead. Lasting Millage has come on to take over left field. Mark Teahan has come on to take over in right for the White Sox. Jack Hanahan. Also, Brent Lillibridge is now in at second base. Hanahan with a line drive base hit into center field. That snaps a string of 10 in a row retired by Mark Burley. And the Indians get their leadoff man aboard for the third time today. And a pitch is outside, ball one to Michael Brantley, 1 for 2. High fly ball. Shallow left center. Miller's got a late break, but he rolls in to make the catch. And now launches a throw back to first, but Hanahan back in time. Our game recap brought to you by your Northern Ohio Toyota dealers. Big Adam Dunn crushed a 2-run homer, part of a 4-run third inning. Carlos Quentin jacked a 2-run homer. That made it 6-0 Chicago. And then Carlos Quentin drove in 2 more with a double in the fourth. That made it 10-0 Chicago. They scored 8 times in that fourth inning. And that finds its way through into center field as Drupal Cabrera with a base hit, and the Indians have 2 on with 1 out.
Well, good placement. Once that ball gets over the glove of Burley, it's going to get into center field. Just high enough. He did get leather on it. Now, Burley, a 2-time Gold Glove winner, fields his position very well. But he just couldn't get up quick enough to flex off the glove, so Cabrera has a single. All 4 Indians hits have been singles, 2 in this inning, but they'd like to, stay and hit a little while, have a little fun.
Shin-Soo Choo 0 for 2, swung on and missed. Choo, an inning-ending double play in the first. Down low.
We got to send out our other birthday wish this afternoon. April Fool's Day. That surprised me. Jimmy Hallen at 40.
Doesn't
and also
surprise me there,
Herb Sheeman. Worker over at Channel 3. Herb, happy birthday to you.
Swing and a miss by Choo, and it's 1-2. This has been like a cruel April Fool's joke.
Well, the score, the outcome has. That's certainly not the way you want to start, but.
And a ground ball knocked down by Lillibridge, but he can't come up with it cleanly. And the inning stays alive for the Indians as Hanahan goes to third. Cabrera safe at second, and Choo is in at first. That had a potential to be a double play ball. Well, Lillibridge just never got it clean.
Yeah, the funny thing of it is, you make the catch and they think you're supposed to catch it, but when you're diving down and your weight of your body going down on that glove, he pushed it out of the glove and never really came up with it cleanly. It'll go as a base hit for Choo, but you catch it and you're going to get an out somewhere. But that's what the Indians needed. They needed a little break. Now you give Santana a chance with the bases loaded to get on the board.
And there's a line drive base hit into center field. Hanahan scored. Cabrera held as he came around third. And the Indians are on the board as Carlos Santana picks up his second hit of the game.
Now 4 hits in the inning for the Tribe. And, that's a pretty good remedy when you go after Mark Burley, is to get ready and get after him on that first pitch. He tries to get ahead of you and then expand the strike zone. He left that pitch up. Santana made him pay, goes right back up the middle. So the Indians are on the board now. It's now a 14-1 game.
And here is Travis Hafner 0 for 2. There's a drive center field. Back goes Rios. Still going back. And it's off the fence. That's going to get Cabrera home. Chu's going to have to stop at third. Santana at second. That should have been a double, but what happened was Chu at second base had to hold up.
That was bad base running.
He didn't get a good read off of that, and Santana almost ran up his backside.
Well, Santana was thinking he got a read on the ball thinking it's over his head. Chu obviously did not. He's got to be around second base. He just stayed there. That ball was smoked off the wall. So a good read that Chu did not get. Santana had it, and it's a good thing he stopped. Look at Hafner's cruising to second base, and then he picked up Santana and says, I can't go anywhere. So it goes as the longest single you'll see in a long time, a 400-foot single.
Well, Chu is normally a very good base runner for the Indians.
Very aggressive. He didn't pick it up.
He just didn't pick it up is right.
But it goes, it's a fourth straight hit, the fifth hit in the inning, and it's a 14-2 game now. But certainly that should have been at least a double for Hafner.
Well, 4 straight hits for the Indians off Mark Burley here in the 6th inning. You get Tony Pena up in the bullpen for Chicago. Don Cooper, pitching coach for the White Sox, back to the dugout. And Orlando Cabrera 0 for 2, the batter. Low again. 2 balls and no strikes. Chu, the runner, at third. Santana is at second. Hafner down at first. 14-2. Cabrera with a line drive up the middle into center field, a base hit. That'll get Chu home. Here comes Santana. 2 more touch home. And the Indians have scored 4 times here in the 6th off Mark Burley. That's now 5 straight hits here in the inning.
Well, that was a good at-bat by Cabrera. He was nibbling, and normally he was going out throwing that first pitch strike. He got the count in his favor to a 2-0 count, and he was ready for this pitch because he knew Burley had to throw him a strike, and he throws it right down the middle. Cabrera jumps all over it, hits a bullet past Ramirez. It's short. So now the Indians answering and responding with a big run of their own. They got 4 runs on in the inning. They still have a couple runners on base and just 1 out.
Austin Kearns 0 for 1 with a walk. Burley 75 pitches on the afternoon. 49 have been for strikes. And a high pop. Center field, Rios. 2 down. The 9th man to bat in the inning will be Matt Laporta. Before he does, let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. You're watching Cleveland Indians baseball. Matt Underwood, Rick Manning with you here today, along with Katie Witham at Progressive Field. 14-4 Chicago, tried with 2 on, 2 out. Matt Laporta 0 for 2 is at the plate.
Those 5 straight hits, Matt, came on 10 pitches. You know, when you have a big lead, you try and get aggressive, and Burley was trying to get ahead of them, and they were ready for it, and that's what you have to do.
Well, I was going to say, Rick, normally Burley's a guy who, if you don't get him early, gets better as the game goes along.
Yeah. Well, he just had that 1 inning, and they got that couple of hits. The Chu hit where Lillibridge pushed it out of his glove, kept it going. That was the 2nd hit in the inning, and then they didn't quit.
Check swing foul by Laporta, and the count is 1-2. Burley's 1-2 pitch in the air, left field. Lasting's Millage makes the catch. Indians bat around. They score 4 times. And we'll go to the 7th, 14-4 Chicago.
Well, join us for the final game of the opening weekend series here against the Chicago White Sox. Sunday at 1 o'clock right here on Channel 3. Justin Masterson will take the mound for the Tribe in his season debut. White Sox Indians Sunday at 1 here on Channel 3, your official Cleveland Indians station. And Frank Hermit coming on now, third pitcher of the afternoon for the Indians. Coming on will make his debut. Germano ended up going 2 2/3 innings. Frank Hermit, you can see last year 40 games he appeared in, 44 2/3 innings, only 9 walks, 24 strikeouts. He himself made a name for himself coming up throwing strikes out of that bullpen. Making the team this year, due to face the top of the lineup, Mark Teahan, who went into the ball game. He'll be in the number 1 hole, and then it's going to be Lillibridge number 2, and then Dunn the DH.
Frank Herman fires a fastball up high. Swung out and missed for Mark Teahan. Fouled back by Teahan. Herman with a 1-2 pitch. Swung out and missed. He gets a strikeout. 1 down here in the 7th. Once again, let's join Katie Witham, who's with Mike Hargrove.
Well, Mike, opening day really has been in honor of Bob Feller. And I know as a manager, as a player, what did he mean to this place and to you personally?
Well, he meant so many different things to so many different people. And he meant a lot of different things to me. He was a friend, obviously. But Bob was the embodiment of the history of baseball. You go around to a lot of the young guys today in the game, and I'm talking about the professional game, and there's a lot of them that don't know the history of the game. They don't know the Lou Gehrig and Joe DiMaggio and people like that. And Bob, when Bob walked around, I mean, he was an encyclopedia of information. You could ask Bob, what happened in the third inning of the game in 1932 at 7 o'clock, and he could tell you. He was amazing. And then he wasn't necessarily confident, but he listened to what you had to say, and you knew that whatever you were experiencing, he had already experienced that at least once in his baseball life, and he helped out in that regard. He was a good guy that cared a lot about the Cleveland Indians and the town of Cleveland.
Well, you can tell the town cares about him just seeing everybody come out today. Yeah. Now let's talk about this season. You are back. We're excited to have you back here in Cleveland as a consultant. You were out there at spring training. What do you think about this team? I
think we're young. The biggest thing there that really jumped out at me whenever I was out there, and I was there for about 3 weeks, the number of good young arms we have. I mean, there are guys, I'm going to say, and I'm guessing like 7, 8, 9, maybe 10 kids that are 95 mile an hour plus with their fastball, and that's really unusual to have that many in one organization. It really just, when you see that, you realize how unusual that is, and I think that really kind of speaks for good things to come in the future for the Indians. So it's hard to know what to expect out of young players, but the good thing is that they are young, and the other good thing is they are talented, and they care very much about what they're doing, and they want to win and want to win badly here, and those are good first steps.
Thank you so much. Guys, we'll send it back over to you.
All right, thanks a lot, Katie. And thanks to Mike, who will be joining me and Rick for 10 games during the season this year up here in the booth.
Some point in time. We need him today.
Swung on and missed. Ramon Castro strikes out. What a job by Frank Herman as he strikes out the side. 1, 2, 3. Stretch time. 14-4 Chicago.
Music Festival will take place Saturday, June 11th. Country music superstar and CMA Entertainer of the Year Brad Paisley brings on his HTO 2 tour to Progressive Field along with special guests Blake Shelton and Jared Neiman. Tickets are on sale now. Call 1-866-48-TRIBE, or you can visit Indians.com or stop by any of the Indians team shops.
Now the White Sox go to their bullpen. Mark Burley went 6 innings, allowing 4 runs on 8 hits, 1 walk. Didn't strike out a batter today.
No, didn't have to.
Didn't have to, exactly. Will Oman, left-hander, one of 3 southpaws in the Chicago bullpen.
Guy they signed as a free agent.
They also signed Jesse Crane, a defector from the Minnesota Twins.
Now, you would think that would be a good sign, taking them away from the Minnesota Twins, the right-hander who's a pretty good pitcher in his own right.
And the Twins, there's Hanahan with a drive, deep center field. Back it goes, and gone to Souvenir City. Jack Hanahan. It's the first homer of the year for the Indians here in the 7th inning. He's working on a 2-for-3 day, and it's now a 14-5 ball game.
Well, he put a good swing on that ball. First home run of the year for the Indians. First extra base hit of the day. And he gave this ball a good ride.
This home run replay brought to you by Great Clips. For every homer, Great Clips donates $50 to the Gathering Place. Learn more at touchedbycancer.org. Great needs, great deeds, Great Clips.
Well, and that's cutting it into the teeth of the wind out to right center field. Made it by plenty, so it makes it a 14-5 game.
That was a left-on-left matchup there,
well,
too.
Well, it was a nice swing on that ball that he hit. Even though the pitch might have been up a little bit, he put a good swing on it. Felt good.
Michael Brantley 1 for 3 on the day. Looks at a ball in the dirt there, and it's 2-0. And a strike at the knees. 2-1 to count on Michael Brantley. Had a base hit to start the game in the first inning. Since then, he hit a little soft liner to short, and he has flied to left. Topper, Omen off the mound. Nicely done. 1 away. Well, let's have a look now at our Miller Taste Greatness moment. And for that, we go back to last year's home opener here at Progressive Field. And Bob Feller from the rubber, not from in front of the rubber, not from the grass, but from the pitcher's rubber, throws out the ceremonial first pitch.
Oh, boy. That's like you could have done it today. That's why that ball was left right on the rubber for Bob Feller.
What a beautiful memorial service held in Feller's memory yesterday. Bob DiBiasio spoke. Jeff Idelson from the Hall of Fame spoke. Gentleman from the USS Alabama spoke. We had Governor Kasich spoke.
Right.
I mean, they were tremendous speakers. Great stories, great remembrances. As Drupal Cabrera 1 for 3. Socks at the deep center. Back goes Rios. Still going back, and it's over his head. As Drupal goes into second base with his second hit of the day. He's 2 for 4 with a 1-out double.
You know, his first out he hit very hard to center field, but he juiced this one. He got this one over the head of Rios, and that short hops the wall. He put a good swing. Rios thought he was going to catch up to it, but he did not. It's a breaking ball down. And Cabrera, a good low ball hitter, went down and got it nicely. So there's both extra base hits coming in this inning. The home run by Hanahan and now the double by Cabrera.
Well, the Indians now have 10 hits in the game. And Shin-Soo Choo 1 for 3 with a single and a run scored.
In case you're wondering, Will Omen last year spent some time with both the Baltimore Orioles and the Florida Marlins, where he went a combined 0-2 and a 3.21 ERA with 18 holds. Did a good job against left-handers last year, just a tad above 200. Lefties hit 208 off him. But Hanahan greeted them this year with a home run.
Tony Pena back up in that White Sox bullpen. Indians offensively have found it here. 8 for their last 12 at the plate. And that's low, 3-0. Ozzie Guillen's club protecting a 9-run lead, but he probably won't fool around too long here. And a strike is called. 3-1. Choo with Carlos Santana waiting on deck. High fly ball left field, shallow left. Millage has a long run. He is sprinting to the line, and he gets there to make the catch. 2 down. We'll go back to the studio for another in-game update with Dave Chudowski.
All right, guys, defending champs in the American League, Texas opening up with Boston, and there's Adrian Gonzalez. Welcome to Boston, although playing in Texas today. Single to center, scores 2 to make it 4-2 in the fourth. 2 for 2 with 3 RBI. Gonzalez so far. Back to you.
All right, thanks, Dave. Carlos Santana has had a good day at the plate. 2 for 3, 2 singles, a run batted in, and a run scored. Left-hander Will Omen in the dirt. Przinski with a nice block. Indians and White Sox will continue this opening weekend series tomorrow afternoon. Where in the world? That's got to be homemade, right? He didn't find that at a store.
Boy, you would think so, but if she did that homemade, that's pretty well done.
That is pretty neat. Santana with a high fly ball. Left field, back is Millage, looking up, and it is gone! Just did clear the fence for Carlos Santana. Now the White Sox may have a complaint.
No siree, he was right on the call again. That one went over the line. Touched again. It's the same thing that what happened. Guillen's turn to go out.
For the
now.
moment, it's a 2-out, 2-run homer for Santana, but Millage, the left fielder, was immediately complaining to the umpire, and that brings out Ozzie Guillen, and we'll see if we get the umpires to go to the replay booth.
Well, here it again. A pitch out over the plate. Santana drills into left center field. Now let's take a look and see what we think again. He hit it well. There it goes over the line. Home run. No, I'm thinking home run.
It sure looks like it, but where's the glove at?
Well, he's reaching out, but it's above the line. And then it goes off his glove. It pulls it down. I'm going to say home run. There they go again for the second time. 2 replays in one game, huh? On home run calls in left center field. That wasn't the same people that hit the first time, was it, where it went through his arms? And he made the call right away. I was looking at the umpire. It's going to be awfully close, but I'm going to say a home run again.
I mean, they've got to make the determination that by leaning over, would this ball have cleared the yellow line?
Well, look, here's our replay of it. It's a backhanded play.
Oh, yeah, that clears the yellow line even if he doesn't touch it.
That's what I'm saying.
Because it comes out of his glove and it's almost at the line.
Right. So I'm thinking, see, he's reaching over there. I'm thinking a home run.
Yeah, that's got to be a home run.
I'm thinking home run. So we'll see. Second one, that's so strange. You get 2 home run calls in one game.
But I can also understand where Lasting's Millage, from his viewpoint, he looking up, he's thinking, wait a minute, that's not a home run.
Well, and that's what you have to do, your manager. You look at the reaction of your players that are the closest to him. You can't tell from back there in the dugout. You may think that, that ball was not over the fence, but with the replays, and I'm not sure what replays that they're going to get, but they're going to sit in there and they'll look at a couple different replays and have to make that decision.
I believe they have in-park cameras to help them. And Major League Baseball sets that up so they can look at their own. And it is a home run. There you go. Official.
So we're 2 for 2 today.
And what a day for Carlos Santana, who is now 3 for 4 with 3 runs driven in after hitting the 2-run homer here. And the Indians, no quit in this bunch. They have cut the lead in half. It's now 14-7. And it's going to force Ozzie Guillen to have to go back to his bullpen with 2 outs here in the 7th inning. Will Omen gives up 3 runs here in the 7th. Tony Peña's coming on when we come back. Well, it's 14-7. And I know there are some fans who are holding out hope that we're witnessing another 2001 Seattle Mariners game all over again.
What was that, August 5th or something like that?
And that was 14-2.
Well,
right?
It was 14-0 today. Yeah,
this was a 14-zip deficit.
That's who knows if he'll ever see a game like that again. But I'll tell you what I do like. They're battling back. They started out the game 2 for 16 offensively, and since that point, they're 9 for 14. So they continue to hit and keep coming back. And
started in the 6th inning.
Yeah, nice deal. Keep coming.
5 straight hits off Mark Burley hastened his exit. Travis Hafner with a ground ball to second. And Tony Pena gets the White Sox out of the 7th. But a couple of homers has drawn the Tribe to within 7 after 7 innings of play. Fourteen to 7, our scores. We go to the 8th inning. Frank Herman on for a 2nd inning of relief work, facing Paul Konerko, who fouls the first pitch back and out of play.
Herman's done nothing but come out and pound the strike zone, huh? 12 pitches, 10 strikes, and 3 strikeouts. Is struck out the side in the 7th.
Well, Frank Herman, the New Jersey native, who went to Harvard. High fly ball, left center. Calling for it is Brantley. 1 down. Hey, Katie Witham is out there in the bleachers, and she has found that fan who reached over the railing. Let's. What do you got, Katie?
I'm sitting here with Matt Coleman, and you know what? He's seen a lot of action today. But Matt, let's talk about that home run. You were right here. Did it make it? I mean,
yeah, it was just barely right over that yellow line. But it's when the ball is coming, you don't want to be that guy that interferes with the ball. So didn't want to do that. Reached out at the last second and unfortunately it popped out, but the Tribe got a home run, so I can live with it.
You did get a little heckling from that, didn't you?
Yep, the fans let me know about it, and I got a few phone calls already. So
you should.
We're dealing with it, but I guess I'm not in mid-season form yet.
The guys are giving you crap in the booth. They said you got to make that play. Come on.
I know. I teach my little T-ballers 2 hands and didn't use it there. So
hit him in the wrong spot. The hands.
All right, thank you, guys. We'll send it back to you.
All right, thanks, Katie. That's not an easy play to make, going to the backhand side like that.
It's catchable. You're in the big league park. You got to catch it.
If you bring a glove to a game, you've got to catch that ball.
I'll give him slack if it was barehanded, but he had leather.
Alex Rios.
Normally, this is where we can boo the fans one time when they don't make a catch like that. Normally, it's the other way around.
The 1-2 in the dirt. I was going to say about Frank Herrmann, though, Rick. Last year, pitched in 40 games, had an ERA of 4.03, but really did a nice job in a number of tough spots for the ball club. But he said by the end of spring training, he felt he was throwing the ball better than he did at any point during last year. And based on what he's done so far here today, you have to take him at his word.
Well, you know, you come up your rookie year, you're happy to make it. Remember, he put up some great numbers before they called him up at the minor leagues. His ERA was minuscule. He didn't give up a run for so long. And, you know, you just get your feet wet at the major league level. Now he had that half a year or whatever to really settle in, think about it over the offseason, think about what he had to do this year, and come back. Now he knows what to expect.
He struck out 4 of the 5 guys he's faced. And Alex Rios has had an opening day to forget. 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts.
Yeah, but, I mean, that's okay. The rest of your team's got 15 hits and 14 runs. You don't have to worry about it.
He's the guy, though, in the locker room. And there's a lot of media here today. I mean, twice as much media than you see at any regular season game. He's the guy, though, if the media goes up to talk to him after the game, he just looks at him and says, what do you want to talk to me about?
Yeah, well, that's right. There's no reason to talk to him.
Lastings Millage drives one up the alley in right center, and that's the first base runner that Herrmann has allowed, a 2-out double here in the 8th inning.
6 doubles now for the White Sox, and I don't know what it is about that number 6 hole, but Quentin was there. He was 3 for 4, and Millage comes in and hits in that spot, and he promptly hits a double into right center field. You can see that ball was elevated a little bit, easier for Millage to go the other way.
A.J. Pierzynski singled and scored in the 4th.
Now here's where you would think, okay, we'll take this guy out and give him a little break, you know, because you're catching and you're going to be catching for me every day because Ozzie has rested a lot of his guys.
Yep.
Here's the one trooper that's in there, still catching, still giving him innings. You got a day game tomorrow, and he used Castro in the DH spot, their second catcher.
Herrmann deals, and a strike over the outside corner. 1-2 the count. Herrmann delivers, and bounced it in there. Good block by Santana.
Yeah, I don't know where that one got him, but he did a nice job. I don't know if it came up and got him under the mask or not, but that one hurt wherever it hit him. This one out in front catches dirt before home plate. It did.
Oh,
it got him in the chin, underneath or maybe the throat. A lot of times you see catches with that thing coming out. It just maybe knocked the wind out of him. It got underneath the mask and into the chin, or maybe even a throat area.
Yeah, I'm almost wondering if it didn't catch him square on the chin, and that can have you
sort
seeing
of like
stars.
Punch it. Yeah, that's like getting cold-cocked right there. Look at him. He is.
Well, they're checking his throat
area.
area.
I think it did. It got underneath into the throat. Watch it get underneath. Nice angle. Ouch, it did. It got in there and just above the padding of the chest protector and underneath the mask. Boy, you think you've got everything covered, and it only takes just that. He just needs a little time. That hurt. Whew.
And how often isn't it amazing how often something like that happens when there's a catcher batting? You know, how many times you see a catcher foul a ball off and drill the opposing catcher?
Yeah, but he didn't foul it off. That one was just a bad pitch.
But isn't that crazy how often that happens? If there's one guy who can appreciate it and feel bad for it, it's the guy at the plate.
That is true. Catchers usually, they know exactly what it feels like, and that's not a good feeling.
Runner at second, 2 down, the 2-2 pitch. fouled right back, and that got a piece of sand.
Now he might be upset and tell him to put the ball in play. There you go.
That's what I was talking about right there. That got him right on that left shoulder.
Look at that. Oh, boy. One to the throat. Now let's try the shoulder. Ouch. Right off Chief Wahoo. He didn't have padding there either. Look at him. He's over there.
Come on, man. That's Lasting's Millage, the runner at second. The 2-2 hit right up the middle, and it's through. And coming around to score is Millage. A.J. Przinski with a 2-out RBI single. And that snaps the run of unanswered runs by the Indians. And it's now 15-7 Chicago.
Well, he gets enough of this one and finds the hole. Cabrera, Orlando going to his right. He's going to slide, but no chance to knock that down or do anything. Gets in to the outfield. Herman gives up his first run. So now every pitcher in the Indians that have pitched today has given up at least a run.
Alexi Ramirez, a swing and a miss. Swung out and missed, 0-2. Well, we've had 22 runs in this opener. The most, according to Tommy Bowen, an Indians home opener came in 1987 when the Orioles beat the Indians 12-11. Struck him out, and the inning is over. Herman has struck out 5 in 2 innings of work, but the White Sox get a run back, and they lead it 15-7. Home half of the 8th inning. Here at Progressive Field, Orlando Cabrera, Austin Kearns, and Matt Laporta. All right-handed bats to face right-hander Tony Pena coming out of the Chicago bullpen. And Pena misses outside for ball 1. A little tapper over the top of Pena's head, and a barehand grab and throw by Morel. Terrific defensive play at third.
Yes, it was, because, Pena broke off the mound like he was going to have a chance. If he fields that ball, it's going to be an infield single. This is the easier play, but Morel makes a beautiful barehanded play and scoop. And we told you he can play defense. We saw him briefly last year in his call up in September. Makes a very nice play there to retire Orlando Cabrera.
Austin Kearns 0 for 2 with a walk. Looks at a strike. And a ground ball to third. Morrell sets, throws, 2 down. Well, it's opening day not only for the Indians, but also for your lawn. Visit your local Lowe's for savings and a free Major League Baseball fan guide. Compliments of Scott's.
Sure is opening day for your lawn. I still got snow on mine.
Well, hats off to the Indians grounds crew because they certainly had their hands full.
You know, Brandon, as always, a beautiful job. And I'll tell you, for everything that went on, the snow days that they had out in that outfield over the course of the winter this year with the new sod out there, it hasn't had a chance to grow. It still looks very, very nice.
Matt Laporta ropes a line drive single into left field with 2 down here in the 8th. And Laporta 1 for 4. Hey, let's head back to the studios once again for an in-game update. Dave Shadowski has the latest on the Red Sox-Rangers contest.
That's right, Matt, and Texas has taken the lead. Watch Mike Napoli go down and get that one. Line drive to get out. The 3rd home run allowed by John Lester. That's a 3-run homer to make it 5-4 Texas now in the 5th. Back to you.
All right, thanks, Chud. Here's Jack Hanahan. Hanahan with his 3rd hit of the day. 3 straight hits for Jack Hanahan. He singled in the 6th, homered in the 7th, and a base hit here in the 8th inning. And so back-to-back hits with 2 down. Turns it over to the top of the order, and once again, Ozzie Guillen is going to go back to his bullpen.
Well, I'll tell you what, Jack has swung the bat very well today. Getting an opportunity to play third base, winning that job, and he is 3 for 4 now.
Even though the White Sox lead by 8, Ozzie's not taking any chances. We've got a timeout here in Cleveland. Lead it. And the Indians have 2 on with 2 out here in the 8th inning. And left-hander Chris Sale is coming on. This guy could be a closer in the very near future.
Well, he was just in last year's draft. He was their 13th overall pick. The White Sox first round draft pick. And he was the first player to make it from the 2010 draft, and that was part of the White Sox, negotiating strategy. Hey, the quicker you sign, we may be able to use you in the big league level, and they did.
This kid can't be fun to face for left-handed hitters, though.
Look at him. He looks like he's about 130 pounds soaking wet.
A 94-mile-an-hour fastball.
Yeah, he's got a great arm. He did a good job for him, and he could be a potential closer. But he was a starter coming out of college. He could also be a starter. But they have their starters now, especially if Jake Peavy comes into the fold. This kid, a good fastball, slider, and a changeup. But for Ozzie Guillen coming on to try and get a left-hander and end this inning.
Brantley with a fly ball to left. Back is Millage and dropped the ball. Laporta scores. Here comes Hanahan. He will score 2. Indians catch a break when Millage couldn't haul it in. 2 more come home. It's now a 15-9 ball game. Michael Brantley with what I have to assume will be a 2-run double.
Well, that'll be kind if it is, although he did, Millings had to run back to make the play. That ball has to be caught. I mean, he got there in time. We'll watch it. It was overset, but here he is. He's cruising. That's got to be caught. I mean, if they give him a double, it's kind.
I agree with you.
I mean, and offensively, if you're a hitter, you want to get that hit, but that play has got to be made. They should be out of the inning. It makes it a 15-9 ball game. I don't know. Did they give him a hit?
They did.
Okay, 2-run double. The Kegler's at it. It's a 2-run double for Brantley.
Asdrubal Cabrera already 2 hits today, including a double. Fouls it back. I see your point. I guess the official score can make the argument it wasn't routine and that he wasn't camped under it.
Then I'll tell you what, that's a routine play in the big leagues. He got back in time and he slowed down. He just didn't catch the ball. I mean, you make a pitch like that and you keep it in the ballpark, that's a play that has to be made at the big league level.
Check the swing. Did he go? They'll appeal. He did not. I'll tell you one guy who's saying that it should have been an error, and that's Tony Pena, because he's charged for the 2 runs that allowed.
Well, I mean, now it's a 15-9 ball game, but I mean, it's a play that has to be made. Hey, I'm all for, the offensive guys getting their base hits, but I'm also for guys defensively having to make plays, and that's a play that has to be made.
Cabrera awaiting the 1-2. It's low, and the count evens at 2 balls and 2 strikes. The Indians down to their last 4 outs, but give this group some credit for continuing to fight and scratch and claw.
9 runs in the last 3 innings. No matter how you do it, when you're down 14-0, it's easy to throw in the towel.
Sale has to hurry the throw, and it's not in time. Asdrubal with an infield single. Brantley moves to third. And now Shin-Soo Choo coming to the plate.
The big, tall left-hander, Matt, you watch how he catches the ball and winds up. He really took his time to turn and throw, and that enabled Cabrera to beat it out. Watch, it's a high hopper. It's going to be a tough play, but watch how slow he is. Deliberate, gathers it, steps to throw, and I'm sorry, that's not going to work at the big league level. And Cabrera's not a fast runner. He's average. But that was enough to beat it out, and that'll go as an infield single. The Indians now with 15 hits.
3 hits for Asdrubal.
Let's get one swing of the bat here and bring it within 3. How about that?
Shin-Soo Choo is 1 for 4 today with a single and a run scored. Well, he's due to bust loose.
Well, keep it going. You never know.
Foul out of play to the left.
This is the fun thing about it. You got a young team, and they're not quitting here. They're coming back, and I'll tell you what, I respect that. These kids keep battling. It's so easy to throw it in when you're down 14-0.
1-2 the count on Choo. Michael Brantley is at third with Asdrubal Cabrera at first. Shin-Soo Choo in a tough spot here against the nasty lefty Sale, and that's Sale's high, and it's 2-2. And the 2-2 pitch. Checked his swing, and he fought it off somehow. Got a piece of that.
Luckily got a piece of it. Just keep this thing going with Santana on deck. If Choo can find a way to get on. Look, that's like an emergency swing. That ball, he's throwing 92 to 94 in on the hands. Tough spot. Just get a piece of it.
Check.
No, he
did not go. And the umpire agrees.
No, he
Full
did
count.
not. Brzezinski tried to trick him.
We talked about it earlier, Rick. We've already seen a lot of late inning dramatics here in the opening day of Major League Baseball last night.
There you go.
And today.
He did not go. That was a good call. And the crowd getting up on their feet. The
really,
for
the first time today, they're on their feet.
Yelling chew.
Payoff pitch. Runner at first goes, swung on and missed. He struck him out. And the inning is over. So it's 15-9 Chicago as we go to the ninth. By Goodyear. Everything Goodyear has learned making tires for big league performance inspires what they roll into yours. Goodyear, more driven. Beautiful aerial coverage all day long. Indians were down 14-0 in the fourth inning. And it stayed that way until the bottom of the sixth. And then the Indians got 4 on the board, tacked on 3 more in the seventh. They get 2 here in the eighth. And it's a 15-9 game. Vinny Pistano will come on now to pitch the ninth inning.
Yeah, my cousin Vinny making this ball club out of spring training.
Did a nice job last year. Now will get his opportunity. But again, he's a guy who really pitched well this spring.
Well, as Manny Actor said going into spring training, there's some jobs open, and he let the competition take care of itself, and this kid made the ball club. So right now he deserves to be here and getting a chance. And look at Pistano out there, no sleeves. He's one of those guys that says, hey, forget about it.
26 years old, came sprinting in from the bullpen. That's just something he started years ago, and it's something that he's continued to do. Swung on and missed, just blowing it by him right now. 20th round pick of the Indians back in 06. He was pretty dominant last year at both AA and AAA. 3 pitches, and Brent Morrell have a seat. 1 down here in the ninth.
Well, he didn't waste any time. It was all fastballs, wasn't it?
After the ball game, we'll be kicking off the 11th season of the Conrad's Tire Express and Total Car Care post-game show. Conrad's is celebrating the start of the season with their first ever Tire Wars event with incredible buys on tires. Special 2-day event today and tomorrow, only April 1st and 2nd, thanks to Conrad's for being a big part of Indians baseball over the last 10 years. Last year, Rick, at AA, Pistano had an ERA of 2.70. He went to AAA and had an ERA of 1.55. And that helped him get a call up to the big leagues. Pitched in 5 games last year in September. And he goes to spring training and just opens some eyes. There's a blooper Shallow left, just beyond Hanahan's glove at third. And Mark Teahan with a one-out bloop single here in the ninth.
Not a bad pitch. There's just nothing you can do about that. A little blooper, placed perfectly. It'll go as a base hit. Hit number 18 for the White Sox this afternoon. Hanahan broke back. He thought he was going to have a chance at it. By the time he reaches up, the ball's already over his head. Nothing you could do about it.
Brent Lillibridge. 3 for 4 was Gordon Beckham today. And Lillibridge came on in the 7th inning, struck out in his only plate appearance. The one thing about Vinny Pistano, you can only control what you do. You can't control the other factors in baseball. And when he came to camp, the Indians certainly had numbers and guys who probably, like Joe Smith, who were looked at as, hey, there's a spot for Joe Smith in the bullpen. But all of a sudden, injuries pop up. And what Vinny Pistano did was take care of his own business so that he was one of the guys they thought of when injuries created opportunities.
Well, as they always say, the players end up making the situation for themselves. You go out there, and if someone goes down, comes down to 2 guys, they'll make the decision.
Well, he's blown it by Brent Lillibridge just as he did Brent Morrell. Two and two, the count with 1 on and 1 out in the ninth. Swung on and missed, and Vinny Pistano has struck out a pair here in the ninth.
They got 13 strikeouts today by Indians pitching. That's not a strikeout team, but I'll tell you what, today it has been.
And you know what is really bizarre? That when Shin-Soo Choo struck out to end the 8th inning, that's the only strikeout for White Sox pitchers today.
That's
swung on and missed by Ramon Castro, who came on for Adam Dunn. Dunn had a big impact on this game early with a 2-run homer in the 3rd and a 2-run double in the 4th. Crazy thing about baseball, though, you think 14-0, that's about as safe a lead as you could probably ever have in the middle of a game. So Ozzie Guillen did the prudent thing. He took 4 of his starters out. All of a sudden, here come the Indians climbing right back into it.
I would have done the same thing.
Swing and a miss. Pistano strikes him out. Vinny Pistano, fans 3. Will go to the bottom of the 9th. Last chance for the Indians coming up next. Indians opener here in 2011. They were down 14-0. They've battled back to close the gap to 6. 15-9 our score. Jesse Crane, right-hander, coming on for Chicago, defecting from the Minnesota Twins, but staying in the Central Division.
A guy that appeared in 71 ball games from a right-hander who's got an outstanding slider, can be very dominating. And they felt that this was going to be a very, very good sign for them because he was a big part of that Twins bullpen. And, a piece that certainly could help them. So he comes in with a 6-run lead, of course. But they used Sale to get out of that 8th inning. Indians have scored 9 runs in the last 3 innings and at least have cut into it.
4 in the 6th, 3 in the 7th, 2 in the 8th for the Indians. And a lot of that thanks to Carlos Santana, who is 3 for 4 with 3 runs driven in today, including a 2-run homer in the 7th. Called a strike. 1-1 to count. Two and 1 to count. And called a strike again. 2-2. Santana now in total agreement with home plate umpire Mike Winters. Travis Hafner waiting on deck here in the bottom of the 9th as Santana tries to get something started. The 2-2. That's in the air. Shallow center. Rios running into the gap to make the grab. 1 away. Let's pause once again for station identification. You're watching Cleveland Indians baseball. Matt Underwood, Rick Manning here at Progressive Field. 15-9 Chicago, bottom of the 9th. 1 out, bases empty. Travis Hafner looks at a strike. He is 1 for 4 today with an RBI single in the 6th. Swing and a miss. It's 0-2. You know, in addition to the Twins losing Jesse Crane, they also said goodbye to Matt Guerrier.
Right, who's with the Dodgers.
John Roush, who was their closer for a portion of last year.
Yes, he was.
And also Brian Fuentes. Remember, they acquired him at one point last season. So that's a lot of turnover for Minnesota.
Yes, it is. Out of that bullpen, it certainly is. And they, I mean, on their turn, they're saying, but we're getting Joe Nathan back.
Yeah.
Well, you are getting your closer, but will he have any setbacks? You know, so this is going to be a good race, I think, in the Central Division.
The 1-2 to Hafner. There's a long drive right field, hooking foul. Well, the 24 runs combined is the most in an opening day game since 1996. The Angels and the Brewers combined for 24 runs, according to Redbird. Hafner with a one-hop smash past Konerko at first. And the Indians have a one-out base runner now for Orlando Cabrera. And if I interpreted Tommy Bowe's hand signals correctly, I believe this is also the most combined runs in an Indians home opener at 24. In an Indians home opener, yes. So we've covered new ground here today, pal.
Yes, we have.
Orlando Cabrera, 2-run single back in the 6th inning. Pretty good defensive play. Took a hit away from him in the 8th. Even though it wasn't much of a swing, but, he had one of those little tappers. But Brent Morrell did a nice job at 3rd. Winters calls it a strike, and the count is 1-1. We're right back at it tomorrow at 1 o'clock here at Progressive Field. We'll have it for you on Sports Time Ohio. Carlos Carrasco against Edwin Jackson. The 1-1. Fouled right back to the screen. Crane deals. Cabrera shoots it foul to the right. And the 1-2. High pop, left field routine for Millage. 2 down. And it comes down to Austin Kearns to try and keep the game alive for the Indians. Tomorrow at 1:05, Indians and White Sox scheduled here at Progressive Field. Looks like the forecast is going to be hit or miss.
Doesn't look very good for tomorrow, from what I understand.
And snow mix, high of 44 tomorrow. No accumulations, at least that's what they're calling for. But the key is, and something we've all learned over the years in baseball, is there a window somewhere?
There's always a window. Gabe Paul used to say there's always a window. It may not be tomorrow. That window will open up on Sunday, but there's always a window.
Yeah. Kearns takes a strike. Jesse Crane deals. It's down low. 2 balls and a strike for Austin Kearns.
The difference in this opening day, the Indians have opened 3 times the last 10 years here. Is that compared to, was it 07, at least we're opening against somebody in our division that they're going to come back to Cleveland.
Yeah.
Unlike when we played Seattle and then the Angels, that was their only trip that year, the last time we opened up here. And it took us 6 months to make up the 4 games that were called earlier in the year before we went to Milwaukee.
And one of them had to be made up in Seattle.
We were the home team in Seattle in September. That's correct.
Kearns taking. Inside corner, a strike. And the count goes full. Runner goes, and it's low, ball 4. So Kearns keeps the game alive with a walk. 2 on, 2 out. Matt Laporta will be the batter. Laporta with a single and a run scored his last time up. He is 1 for 4 today. Jesse Crane ready. He delivers, and Laporta leans back. It's up high, ball 1. The red-hot Jack Hanahan would be next. Hanahan has hits in 3 straight at bats. Laporta had a line drive single to left his last time up, his only hit today. And a swing and a miss to even the count at 1-1. Stay tuned for the Conrad's Tire Express and Total Car Care postgame show coming up after we wrap things up here. The 1-1 and a called strike. Laporta trying to keep it alive. Crane trying to nail it down for Chicago. And it's in the dirt. Przinski with a good block. He evens the count at 2-2. One o'clock tomorrow, 1 o'clock on Sunday. Indians and White Sox here at Progressive Field. .34 hits combined here today. 24 runs. Little bit low, and the count goes full. So the runners will move as closer Matt Thornton is now loosening for Chicago in their bullpen. Jack Hanahan would be next. But he might not be facing Crane if Laporta reaches. See how fast it takes Thornton to get loose. The set. Runners go, payoff pitch. Ground ball, just foul. I mean, it was hugging the chalk down the third base line. But Chris Guccione immediately signaling foul ball.
It was. Yep. It was foul. No question about it.
Travis Hafner at second base. Austin Kearns down at first. Again, they'll take off on the 3-2 pitch. Pop back above our head to the upper deck. And Laporta hanging in there. Manny Acta's club was down 14-0. But with 4 in the 6th, 3 in the 7th, 2 in the 8th, they've closed the gap to 6. And the payoff pitch is hammered into left field, a base hit. Hafner coming around third. He's going to score. On his way to third. And in safely is Austin Kearns. Matt Laporta with his second hit of the ball game. And the RBI hit makes it 15-10. And now Jack Hanahan, who has 3 straight hits, will be the batter.
Crane comes back with looked like a little slider to me that stayed up in the zone. Little breaking ball. Laporta slaps into left field. So the Indians 17 hits today, and they keep it going, and they're gonna finish it. Boy, they're going right down to the finish.
Jack Hanahan singled in the 6th, homered in the 7th, singled in the 8th. Looks at a strike from Jesse Crane. Crane's already made 30 pitches. Little tapper foul. Just got a piece of that. 15 runs, 18 hits for Chicago. 10 runs, 17 hits for Cleveland. The White Sox had an 8-run 4th inning that staked them to a 14-0 advantage. The only run they've scored since then was an 2-out RBI hit by A.J. Przinski in the 8th. That gave them their 15th run. Przinski with a good block. 1-2 the count here for Jack Hanahan. A lot of signs from Pierzynski, and Crane can't decide which one he wants. Boy, oh boy. And now Pierzynski calls time, and he's going to go out and talk to Crane.
Well, trying to get on the same page. That's all. He wants to end this game right here before any further damage. One hit here, and you're going to bring your closer on.
Looked like he was asking, you want the slider in, slider away, fastball in, fastball away. Okay. Didn't like any of those. What's it going to be? If Hanahan gets aboard, Michael Brantley would be next. Jack Hanahan has already tied his career high with 3 hits today. And the 1-2 pitch just got
baby, it was off speed.
a little piece of that to stay alive.
That's all you need. You keep spoiling a couple of tough pitches to stay alive and give yourself a chance and hope he makes a mistake. But there's a good curveball. And he was able to just foul it off right off the end of the bat. So he will live for one more pitch.
And the 1-2. Struck him out, and that'll do it. The Indians get one here in the 9th. They fight back, but fall in the end by a final score of 15-10. That's too big of a deficit to overcome for the Indians here this afternoon. And Chicago, with 15 runs on 18 hits, gets the victory. 10 runs, 17 hits for the Indians. Losing pitcher for the Tribe is Fausto Carmona. And the winner for Chicago is Mark Burley. Time now for our play of the game, brought to you by Key Bank. Thanks for making Key Bank the #1 bank in Northeast Ohio.
Oh, a guy that had a very good afternoon, Carlos Quinton. He had a single, a double, a home run, had 5 RBIs his first 3 at-bats. Didn't mess around. They pulled him out after that, but a terrific afternoon. That's going to be our Key Bank key play of the game.
So Chicago gets the win here today in the season opener. And the Indians will have to try and regroup and go back and get them tomorrow. And again, that's a 1 o'clock start tomorrow here at Progressive Field. Stay tuned. We've got the Conrad's Tire Express and Total Car Care postgame show coming up next.